27.
Hey.
Hello, friend.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm going to dub this Wheel of Time week since we are so close to the release of season 3. But we are not here for season 3 quite yet. We are here tonight. Hi, Erin. Love you. To watch, oh my gosh, episode 8 of season 2 tonight. Hey, Gnome.
I know.
Hello.
The finale.
Oh, and
finale
I'm Crystal, and
of
that's,
season 2.
oop, that's Tom.
Yeah, I'm over here. I don't know. I honestly don't know where I am half the time, though. And then there's our executive producer who's over here.
Sleeping.
Luna.
Don't disturb him.
I'm not going to disturb him because he's just so cute.
Hey, Rapunzel. I love it.
What a
What a
week.
week.
Oh,
What a
I
week.
love it. It's so painful, but I still love it.
I feel like I've done nothing but consume Wheel of Time content for the last 7 days.
It's true. It's true.
It's great.
And like, you know what? Like, I love all of the shows that we've watched, but like, there were a couple of days where, like, you know, I'd be watching like Vox Machina and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm done with Vox Machina for a little while. But I have not felt that, even though I've probably consumed more Wheel of Time content in the last 6 days than I did for the entirety of Vox Machina, I feel like.
It's because we're obsessed.
Yeah. Speaking of consuming content, there is a person backstage right now whose content I love to consume, and he's someone that that not just follows the threads of the pattern, he gets to weave the threads of the pattern into just beautiful symphonies, and it's fantastic. It's really pleasant on my ears, and I love hearing him. So let's see who's hanging out backstage.
Look, here comes an awesome guest.
Yay!
Hello,
there we
friend.
go. Hello. How are you guys?
So the amazing and award-winning composer and musician Nikhil Koparkar, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much to you both for having me. I've watched Dragonmount for years now, so it's a real treat to get to geek out with you all this evening.
Thanks, Gnome. We'll try to remember.
Not everyone has seen everything. Yes. Don't worry. We will keep any kind of season 3 spoilers to an absolute minimum. What's up, Alexander? Another new name in chat. Nice to see.
I've seen nothing, so I know nothing.
So Nikhil, just for your help, because I know you've read the series and I know you're a super fan. But we're keeping our spoilers to Fires of Heaven tonight. So just to give you and everyone else a reminder, just in case you don't remember exactly where Fires of Heaven ended, that was Rand in the group coming out of the waste, going outside of Kyrie and Couladin getting killed, and then a certain someone being tackled through a doorway.
Oh yeah,
it might have been twisted in red.
Definitely one of my favorite sequences in that whole series, I think.
Yeah. So great. Yeah. So great. I'm really hoping we get that in this season.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. So anyway, how are you? Now recently, you know, you were displaced like hundreds of, maybe if not 100,000, like tens of thousands of your fellow Los Angelinos.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see you're back home though. How are you recuperating from that?
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was a crazy start to the year. I feel like, you know, it's just really started with a bang, and we all had to evacuate. You know, I think I'd mentioned to you earlier is the fires were about a mile away from our place, so we could see the flames, you know, from the street right here. And so, yeah, the air quality was terrible, and we were one of the lucky ones. We really were, because we were able to evacuate. My wife, her aunt and uncle live in Las Vegas, kind of the outskirts of the city, and so we got to kind of camp out there for something like 10 days, and then made our way back. But we had to wear masks for weeks afterwards, and then have the air purifiers going in every room. So it was quite a production. But I know a bunch of friends who lost their musical instruments that collected over 20-30 years, their whole livelihoods. And it's just so sad, because even if certain things can be replaced, it's like, can they really though? Because there's certain sentimental value attached to them. Like, it's not just a piano, it's a particular type of piano that was given to them by the grandmother, whatever it is, it's just really, really tough start to the year for everyone. But I think everyone is kind of coming together, and it's really nice to see the community rally for everyone who's affected. So it's really great.
That's fantastic. I mean, like, you saw a lot of stuff on TV because most of not most, but a lot of the people that were affected were obviously, wealthy people. But some of them, like, especially someone like, only because I have a slight personal connection to him, Billy Crystal. He actually grew up in my hometown, and his brother in New York on Long Island, and his brother was my English teacher.
What?
Yeah, he taught in the high school, and so did his wife also. Yeah, Mr. Crystal.
What a small world. That's amazing.
I know. He would come back sometimes, and he always did awesome stuff for like the town and things like that. But he lost his home that he lived in for like 40 years, and when you think about, like you said, sentimental value and things like that, it's
family photos and just like where your kids grew up, and it's awful.
Also, I'm 100%. Sharing in chat right now a charity that I always try to look for and donate to when there's devastating things, in addition to obviously helping the people that are suffering in those times. But this one is still collecting money. If anyone, any amount of money that you want to donate, it's Best Friends Animals. And this one is specifically slated for Los Angeles. So they're actually collecting money. Oh, what's up? What's up, Lana? Another new name in chat. They're still collecting money to help, people that have pets and help people's pets, and also some wildlife too for, stuff that was displaced during the storm. Anyway, I mean, not storm, the fire. I'm so used to saying storm from Florida.
Right, I would imagine so. Yeah.
Anywho, just to remind some people, just in case they don't remember, what like your connection, not just to Dragonmount, because we did interview you not long after you posted this, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
This was still when I was sitting in like my living room with my phone and like comforters hanging behind my phone to block the sound and stuff like that. This was before I actually had like a room and things dedicated to like streaming. But we got to interview you. But so, okay, just to remind everybody where your travel or quest with the Wheel of Time TV show began. I'm going to play a short clip here for them.
Okay.
Wow.
I love that piece so much.
Thank you.
And I love the video that they took that went with it. They're like kind of like panning around the sound stage as everyone was recording, and watching everyone play all those individual instruments was beautiful.
Totally. Thank you.
So, oh no, go ahead. Whatever you're gonna say.
Oh no, I was just gonna say is the whole story of how this all came to be was unless you had another question.
No.
Okay.
Please.
Cool. So I'd worked on a fantasy film called The Candle and the Curse in early 2019, late 2018, and I'd done a live orchestra score for it, and as a composer, that's always a dream to do because you don't get a chance to work with live instruments as much as you'd like because of budgets or because of scheduling and so on and so forth. And also orchestras are really expensive to record, right? And I found this orchestra in Budapest called Budapest Scoring, and they do half an hour slots actually, so you can book a whole orchestra for half an hour.
Wow. And
you can also add on a video, so you can get video of it and you can edit that together and what have you. And at the same time, I was just scouring on IMDb, which is like a industry website for seeing what projects are in development. And I saw, this was early 2019, I saw that The Wheel of Time was being developed by Amazon. And I was like, I feel like I've heard of this before, but I haven't read any of it. So I checked out the first book that day from the library, read it probably in 2 days. And then I went, all right, second book, let's go. And after The Great Hunt, I was just, that was it for me. Like the ending of The Great Hunt, that cemented it for me. And actually really was a gateway to fantasy as a whole. I didn't realize what fantasy could be. And I'd only read very cursory stuff. I'd read The Hobbit, growing up and stuff. And I realized, oh, fantasy can have Eastern philosophy in it. Oh, fantasy could be so much more, than what my preconceived notions of it. So I steadily read through those 15 books and I just devoured them. And really no series has captured my heart like that since. And so the idea came to, kind of just write a theme and put it out there, see what happens. And so I wrote this theme, found this Budapest orchestra, and I used, a good portion of my savings at the time. What could go wrong, right? And recorded this piece, and it was kind of a love letter to the Wheel of Time. And I sent it to production. I got some really nice emails from, production and stuff. But, it was one of those things where it was more of a exercise for me to go, how can I get better as a composer? How can I shoot for the moon? Because you never know what will happen, right?
Yeah.
And then I actually tweeted it out with the hashtag Twitter of Time, and the wonderful Twitter of Time community shared it a bunch. And so Tor.com did an article on it, and then, and Lorne Balfe, of course, got the gig as the composer of the show, and he saw my pitch, and so he reached out to me actually, and it was just like a dream come true, really. He was like, oh, do you want to work on a couple of, there was like a Wheel of Time trailer or something. It's like, you want to work on a couple of these for a couple of days. And that couple of days became a week, and a week became 2 weeks. And then finally, they asked me to join the team as an additional composer on, all his TV shows. So I started off doing, more docuseries and things. Then I started working on his Dark Materials, season 3. So is when I came in on that. And then finally got to work on the Wheel of Time. So it was really cool. And, it's always interesting how things that don't feel like they necessarily should connect to what you're doing end up connecting. Like, because I'd read those books purely out of the love of the material, when I would send Lorne cues for approval, cues are like pieces of music. If I'd worked on a piece of music, send them to him for approval, I would say like, hey, this is, I can imagine the story beat is going to be teased in season 3 or 4 because of the way the books are going, So maybe we could foreshadow like a thematic thing musically here, because it's going to carry through in then, a season or 2 from now. So just being able to talk from an informed opinion made me go like, hey, that's a really cool thing to do. And now it's like any adaptation I get a chance to work on, I'm like, I have to read the whole series.
That's so cool.
But it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, right? So.
That's the most Robert Jordan thing that oh, do you think we can make some sort of common musical piece that we'll use for I'm guessing like a character or maybe even an item or something like that,
right?
And then foreshadow that later on by using it again. Oh God, I love that. It's so good.
Totally.
It's almost like you're a fan of the Wheel of Time. You like to hide clues for things throughout stories in random places. Who
you mean not everybody reads 15 Doorstoppers just for the hell of it?
I mean, everyone here does.
That's true. That's fair point.
It's definitely a true story. Everyone here does, for sure. Oh my God, that's so freaking cool. I'm so like I love. There's a few people that have worked on the Wheel of Time, and I'm glad I've had a chance to talk to all of them at this point, that I know of at least, that have like this love for the Wheel of Time prior to the like ever even like being exposed to the show, or even before you even know you're gonna have anything to do with it. You're just like, oh, this thing sounds cool.
Yeah.
And like every one of them is like, oh, it's a dream come true. I actually get to do the thing that I'm doing as like my job, my work, but I get to work on something that I've loved for so long. And I love seeing it. It comes out in the work. It comes out in the work.
It does. Like you could see the passion that everybody has, it's like they take it very seriously because they know that people really care about this thing. It's
Absolutely.
Like maybe they've grown up with it. They've read it several times, more than several times, right? And it gets ingrained in their kind of consciousness, subconsciousness. And I think like
absolutely
it's important. Yeah.
Just to remind everybody, so we have Guy Roberts, who played Uno in the show, he actually guested for me as well for episode 3 when he died.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was incredible.
It was hilarious too.
We got to watch him die. It was
how meta.
For real.
Yeah. It was hilarious. And then there's obviously Rafe, who we've also interviewed. He hasn't been on Rewatch itself, but we got to do a specific interview with him live, which was crazy.
Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah, I got a chance to see some of that. It's great. Yay. Really great. Yeah.
Oh, that's also where, hold on, I have a clip that I gotta play. That's where this clip comes from.
The Wheel of Time fandom is statistically the best fandom.
Statistically the best fandom.
Yeah, that's when Rafe we were talking about how his interactions with the fandom could be, and he said Amazon actually took metrics and have like the data to back this up, but that the Wheel of Time fandom, out of all the fandoms that they've been interacting with, is statistically the best, as in they have like the most overall positive response from the Wheel of Time community than they had from any of the other communities they've been involved with. Like,
you know, honestly, that's not surprising to me, because I feel like there's something, just everybody who reads the Wheel of Time, it's like when Matt don't lie, totally. Yeah, like everybody who reads the Wheel of Time, it's like they care about it so much, they want other people to experience it the right way, and they don't want to spoil anything. They're very conscious of that. And they like to live vicariously through, like when I hear somebody starting Wheel of Time, I love to see it through their eyes. It's so cool to see where someone, you know, something resonated with them that I didn't catch the first time, or vice versa. You know, it's really cool. It's a beautiful experience. And I really feel the Wheel of Time fandom is a testament to that. Like, it's just awesome. Yeah.
That's the selling point that I always tell really everybody when we talk about going to like any Wheel of Time convention at this point. I could say that because there's now 3, which is wonderful.
Crazy.
Right.
Yeah. There's Jordan Con, which is, it's not so much a Wheel of Time convention as it is if you're familiar with Southern fantasy lit conventions in the US, they have a very common format, but it's a Southern fantasy literature convention that is strongly themed after the Wheel of Time. They have pretty much just as much content at a Jordan Con about Wheel of Time as they do anything else. Because it's an 8 or 9 track convention, and the Wheel of Time is its own track, but it is just one of 8 tracks or 9 tracks, I believe.
I see. I still have to go. I would love to go. Hopefully I can go next year or something.
That would be awesome. Well, when you start looking into it, let me know. But there's also, if you want to look into, and I can hook you up with the folks that run it, WattCon, which is just a Wheel of Time only convention over in Ohio. That's in July every year.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I'd heard of that one. But again, I haven't been yet, but hopefully I'll get to do that soon.
Yeah. And then if you're ever over in Europe, next year, it's going to be in Prague again. And then, he's kind of bouncing to different cities in Europe. Rob over at Malkir Talks.
Cool.
They're doing Malkiri Con.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
I love that.
I went last year. It was a ton of fun, and I'm gonna try to go again this year. But Prague's a bit of a trip, and who knows if they'll want any Americans in their damn country.
Oh, right. God. Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame them at all.
Sadly.
New frontier. Yeah.
Anyway, I want to give everyone like a couple of minutes to get it ready. So I'm going to, you know what? No, I'm going to wait to start the thing, because I do want to talk about some of your other stuff that you've done before we get into that, because I've actually partaken of one of them before I even knew you did it, which is fun.
Oh, really?
Aww.
As a new reader, I do appreciate the care and the community takes for us, which is wild because it's not exactly, that's true. That's true, Razor. That is absolutely true. And thank you for joining chat. It's another new person in chat.
I think we love the journey so much that we try to be careful that everyone can have their own journey through the series without spoiling it.
Absolutely.
Totally.
The Wheel of Time.
Even though I can never remember what happened in what book. Past book 3, it's all one long book to me. But I try.
I'm constantly on WattWiki or something like that, trying to be oh, right. Okay, it's this chapter. That's book 6. I can talk about up to this. I can't talk about that always.
Totally, yeah. Especially book 7 through 10. I feel were one big book for me.
Absolutely.
I think.
Oh, okay. Here's a question for you, and feel free. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to.
No.
So there's a particular point in the series that a lot of the fans of the series dislike, and they've dubbed the slog. Have you ever heard that term?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, obviously that's Perrin and Fael's storyline and a lot of the stuff that happens around them. I am in the team of there is no slog. I love all of it. Like, I'm fine. Like, don't get me wrong. There's some, questionable parts of Perrin's relationship with Fael that's a little controlling and stuff. But I love reading it. I love reading their relationship and their exchanges and stuff. So none of that bothers me. So are you there is a slog or there is no slog?
So for me, I think personally, I guess I should preface it with, when I first read it, I felt like there distinctly was a slog. I was also warned about the slog beforehand. And so I kind of went in maybe with that filter. What I'd be curious about is to reread and see if I still feel that way. Because I think like the part that feels like a slog is when you don't know where the story's going. But once you know where the characters end up and that they actually had arcs that were like earned, I guess you could say, and like, because when you're midway through book 9 or 10, you don't quite know exactly where it's going to go from there. And it did feel like, at least with like I feel like especially books 9 and 10, where things were slowed down a little bit more, not necessarily sloggy inherently, but they were slowed down with the idea that, hey, just wait, things are going to pick up soon. I think it would be interesting to see from a reread, but I did feel like, I think 8, 9, and 10, or parts of 9. I actually liked 9.
Me too.
Maybe more than some other people. I thought the way it ended was incredible as well. And
a lot of epic scenes in that.
Oh, amazing! Yeah.
Oh, so the only scene that I will spoil a little bit for people, because I talk about it so much on here, and I want to ask you, because you remember the book so well, is From a Memory of Light, specifically the prologue. There's a character Bayard in it. What'd you think about that guy?
I'm trying to even remember, honestly.
That's all right. I only ask. So I know I put you on the spot on purpose. I'm joking. That character is based on me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, really.
They put
seriously.
Yeah. Seriously.
I gotta reread that prologue now. That's amazing. What?
Yeah, he has a special place in my heart. So they were gonna put me as a character in the series, and Maria was like, "Do you want to know who it is?" And I was like, "Nah." So yeah, that ended up being that.
That is so cool. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's why I have to reread it now.
Yay. That's it's when the metal in the camp starts to go bad, like it gets all squishy, and he's making spearheads out of slate. I'm not famous.
You are.
You know what it is? I do, like, at Jordan Con and WattCon, like, people will know who I am, and that's it. But like, I do fuck. Erin will can contest to this. She's that my wife. She's in chat. I do ask her when we're at WattCon what it's like being married to a star, and then she tells me.
Oh my lord! Yeah, does she slap?
No, it's not. I have no ego about anything. I think everything I do is garbage. Anyway. The prologue of A Memory of Light was fantastic. The prologue of all of the books were fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And I might suggest to you, and I'm going to play another clip here for a second.
Sure.
Can you see the clips? or hear the clips? Can you hear them?
I can't, but you know what? Actually, I do have the chat window open on my computer.
Okay.
On with the YouTube link. So presumably, I could probably see it through there.
Yeah, you might be able to. Okay. I'll send you the clip of this afterwards so that you can listen to it, in a better setting.
Sure.
But I suggest possibly doing the audiobook for a reread you might do, because there's a certain audiobook project that's being put together by a man named Jordan Reynolds. Fantastic. He's doing what he calls soundscapes of books.
Interesting.
And thanks, Aaron. Where he takes the audiobooks and adds in like sounds and stuff like that, like background sounds. Like if it says they're walking down the cobblestone street, he'll put that kind of sound effect.
Incredible!
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
And
audio
I
dramas
had
are amazing. You know, like I'm seeing a lot of audio drama companies popping up now, and
that's
the
cool.
production value is phenomenal. Like there was this one for God, it was like a name escapes me. Well, there was one for Winona Earp as well that came
Oh,
out last year, I think.
yeah.
There's like a bunch of different ones, and it's like they'll have fantastic voice actors for these things, and like the whole production quality. You know, the music is very cinematic. Like they'll do live recordings for it. It's just like the full on thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and everyone here has heard this clip before. I'll just play for like 10 or 15 seconds and then we'll come back.
Cool.
From the clear sky, lightning came. Each bolt crisp and sharp, searing his eyes, each bolt striking a winged black shape. Hunting cries became shrieks of death, and charred forms fell to leave the sky clean again.
Okay. Just a little taste.
It's really good in headphones. You need to listen to it like with with headphones.
It is really good in headphones.
I'm gonna check this out because the few seconds I got a chance to, it's a little delayed, but I got a chance to listen to a few seconds of it. It's phenomenal. The sound effects and everything are great. Yeah.
I will make sure to email you the full clip when we get off.
Thank you.
If you check, if any of my mods in chat or Aaron, if you want to put, there we go, jordanreynolds.com.
No, got it.
And if anyone wants to post a link directly to the new Kickstarter or it's not launched yet, but I think like the advertisement page is up. Razor, he has released the full, or no, he completed the Eye of the World book, and the people who backed it on Kickstarter should be getting it soon, and then he should list it wherever he lists.
Buy it. Yeah,
on his website. And then he's working on the next Kickstarter project, which is going to launch in April, and I think we're going to do a live that day for when it launches.
Good.
Is going to be either the next book or the next two books, depending on how much he can get backed in that project. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And then he's also going to release. So he's doing it initially for the Michael Kramer and Kate Redding recording, and then he's going to do another one and just send it out to everybody that has the original one too for the Rosamund Pike recording as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah,
wow.
Awesome dude.
Incredible. Yeah, I can't wait to hear that.
It's a whole other way of hearing the story. Like it's just another way to hear it. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say it's like that it really shows how much music and sound can be a form of storytelling, or it can accentuate storytelling. That's there, and it's like whenever I hear audio dramas that are done really well with the proper sound effects or like a proper score or something that accentuates whatever the dialogue is, it's like it transports you. You feel like you are there,
absolutely,
in that world. So I'm always very interested in all the things that go in towards storytelling, whether it be great voice actors, whether it be locations or what that kind of thing. So yeah.
And Rosamund is doing a great. I've only listened to Eye of the World that she's done so far. I know she did the first 4 already, but so good. It's like almost an entirely new adaptation for those who have listened to the Michael Kramer and Kate Redding version, and then this one. It's different while being the same at the same time. It's weird listening to it. It's a whole nother take on it that just took me by surprise, because I was like, there were different inflections and different tones that I just wasn't expecting, and it was like hearing it again for the first time, which is hard because I've listened to it like 1,000 freaking times at this point. Right. Though I do want to talk about at least a couple other things that you did, because the music from, like I said, I got to interact with before I knew you ever did it, which is cool.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So you do not just TV shows, you also do films and docuseries, like you said, but also you've done at least one video game. So I'm going to play a quick clip from that, and some people may recognize the art for this game pretty quickly. It's a couple, maybe 1 or 2 people play this game. So that's League of Legends by Tencent Games, if people don't know what that is. Oh, hey, Shannon, thank you. That's really nice of you. And now I'm going to think about that for a while. And it'll be both good things, and I'll also feel like I need to do better just specifically for you, because that's how my brain works. I play League of Legends, but I'm not one of, like, I don't know if you know how that community can be a little much. Yeah, but I play it a little bit with my friends. It's a way some of my friends and I from high school like kept in contact for a while. Was like we played, like, you know, PvP type games like that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as a team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that was beautiful. Like, I love the Lunar Festival, which is obviously like referenced. It's the Asian theme, Chinese New Year.
It was they were trying to express it as like a Lunar New Year, because there's, you know, Lunar New Year kind of takes place in China, in I want to say Malaysia. There's like a few different countries that celebrate Lunar New Year, and so it was kind of one part of when I was working with Riot Games, the team there. One thing that we were trying to be cognizant of was, how can we take instruments that belong to these specific regions and make them feel colloquial, like they belong in that one particular spot. But at the same time, this is a very cinematic thing for a game. And it was going to, you know, this was a theme that was going to appear in all their promo for the Lunar New Year, but it was also going to appear in game. So, you know, kind of for some special game events that they had going on around that time. So it was kind of important to not only find these colloquial instruments, but then also combine it within the context of like a larger whole and make it feel cohesive, you know. So we had, you know, a bunch of different Chinese instruments there. We had the dizzy flute. We had, I'm trying to remember exactly everything. The Zhao flute. We had.
I heard the stringed instrument there. Is that one that they sit flat on their laps and play?
That's exactly right. Yeah,
I forgot what it's called.
They have also it's. This particular one is a little bit different to the one that is usually played. It's called the Yang Chin, I think it's called. And it's almost like a hammered dulcimer, actually. So it's you know, it's played flat. It plays flat, just like the one where you pluck them. Yeah. But this Yang Chin player was incredible, and she recorded it here at Sony at a studio called, it's like the Barbra Streisand scoring stage. And so it's the biggest one in LA. So it's like, it's just this massive sound you can get in there. That's and awesome. So she recorded, you know, this stuff, and she could play these runs really fast. You know, I had never written for the instrument either. And it kind of worked in the favor of it, because it wasn't about, oh, thanks. It kind of worked in the favor of the piece, because the piece was never meant to be 100% traditional, you know. It was meant to be kind of a confluence of different things. So it was cool. We recorded, I think it was a 20 or 30 piece string section in at that scoring stage. So I got to be in person, which is different to the Budapest stuff, you know, where I'm just phoning in and I'll have, exactly. I'll be speaking to the conductor like, oh, let's take these bars again and that kind of thing. But it's just from the comfort of my own studio. So it's nice to actually be in the place and interacting with the players and the conductor. And So
that actually brings to mind a question I wanted to talk to you about, because one of the and Luna left us and I didn't even notice. So let's get rid of the cat.
It was a while ago. Sorry.
The one of the things about your stuff that I really, really enjoy is that you like to include like instruments that maybe that might not be commonplace in a lot of Western music, and a lot of Western people may not recognize them, and you use them in place of a lot of other kind of more traditional, again, Western instruments. And it was evident, and obviously in this, but because that's a mostly Eastern, you know, themed piece there, obviously. But is there like any particular like instruments? Like obviously, just talk on that. You could probably talk on that all day. But like, is there any particular instrument that you like to use in place of like a more common instrument, like that you flip in and out?
Yeah. So. Actually, a perfect example of this, and I was very grateful for that experience on the Wheel of Time show as well, is so much of what Lauren was trying to do thematically and then also musically, world building was, you know, let's try ancient instruments. Let's try things that are not things that you would normally have as the obvious choice, you know? So there was bone flutes in there. There was the carnix, which is this giant Celtic horn, like a war horn that you need to like.
The one that they hold that goes up.
That's
over
the one. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay, I've seen that before.
So, you know, you have to rent out a whole auditorium just to record the thing, you know, the sound just propagates the room and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was a really great learning experience of how to produce the music of that kind, you know, where you have to blend all these instruments together. And I'd been doing that for the previous fantasy film I was working on. I'd worked with a couple of Indian instrumentalists before on like a cinematic album. So it was something I was always very interested in. And actually, it was in the least likely place that I found the biggest eye-opening experience when it relates to that, which was I worked on a film called Dead Whisper, which is like a psychological horror film. It came out in theaters, I think in July of last year. And it was basically a meditation on grief. And this character gets lured to this island where people speak in whispers, and he gets taken to this ferry where he's like offered to see his child again, his deceased child, but at the cost of his soul. You know, and so it's very slow burn, sense of dread. And I was scrolling on Instagram, as one does, but for once, that was actually useful time procrastination, because I came across this instrument from Thailand called a can, and knew nothing about it. I, of course, had to order it from Thailand and didn't know how to play it. But the sound reminded me of the wind and the ocean. And this film was filmed in Cape Cod. So it has nothing to do with Thailand, but there's a feeling of like almost like a siren song that's calling this guy to the island. So I'm like, I have to incorporate this somehow. So I started using that instrument, and that became a big basis of the score. And it's just, again, if these instruments have been played the same for hundreds or thousands of years. So if you recontextualize it, you take it out of the context from which it came, suddenly you have a universe of sounds you could play with. And it makes people go like, they don't think of Thailand when they hear it. They just go, oh, that seems different. I haven't heard that before, because it's like what you're starting with is different. And one more quick example, because I could probably geek out about this for hours, as you were saying, but
we would listen to you.
I'll keep it short.
I love listening. Like, it doesn't matter the context. And I tell people this all the time, especially going to conventions. I will listen to nerd out about something they love all day. It really doesn't matter about what the topic, because if someone is passionate about it, you can hear it in the way they it's evident that you love this, and I love listening to you talk about it.
Oh no, thank you. No, I'm the same way. I love hearing what people are passionate about. It's like you get a whole window into a completely different world when you get to chance to other people's stuff. No, I'm grateful for that. But yeah, no, there was another instrument that actually kind of turned me onto this idea of what, you know, kind of like what you were saying, Crystal, is like maybe an instrument that, you know, could be replaced with another one. And it's like the idea of, you know, percussion. You know, when you think of percussion in a score, it's usually drums, like, you know, or percussion rhythms or something like that. But you don't think of it as, what if you could make it sound like a different instrument? And so there was that whole siren song concept for this island. We wanted it to sound almost alien and otherworldly, but didn't want to use vocals, because there are vocals in the score, but for this particular sequence, vocals would be the obvious choice. So I went to a percussionist place named Bobak Lodvipur, he had collected all these instruments over 20 years. And he had these giant bass drums, and he had this thing called the Super Ball mallet. And you can rub the mallet against the drum head in a certain way where it almost sounds like a vocal. And
that's cool.
It is insane what you can do. It made me realize, I was like, oh, these instruments can be anything you want them to be. And so, you know, musical world building, that's kind of like the catchphrase I like to use now, because
so cool.
It is like you're constructing a world, but from a musical perspective. So yeah, I think that's kind of my new jam. Like, I love seeing instruments that like you have no business using in a score and figuring out how to use it, and then the result will at least be interesting, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the very least, you have a cool story, and you could talk about like an instrument that no one's ever heard of. Like, do you hear that piece right there that sounds like this? That's this.
100%. Yeah, I love that stuff. You know, it's like,
it's freaking awesome.
Well, I think it just makes it more unique, and people, even if they're like, oh, I don't love this, they tune in to be like, what is that? Because it's something like when you hear or even consume and see something new, like I tend to want more of that, just because I've never experienced anything like that before.
Yeah,
totally.
And I gotta say, like, even people that don't like the show, like for they change stuff or whatever,
Sure.
the toxic side of that, of the people we call book cloaks, by the way. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I've
If
seen that term,
you've seen that, if you've surfed around Twitter of time for a little while, you've seen it. But even some of them that I've spoken to, and other people that I speak to often enough that don't like the show but aren't toxic about it, none of them have ever said the score is bad, because the score is absolutely freaking beautiful. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I really think that, like, what Lauren and the team. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, it's like what Lauren and the team have done, and being able to be a part of that. It's special, because, like, I remember hearing about how they were discussing they don't want a traditional fantasy score, so it's like, oh, let's try Cajun music, oh, let's try this other instrument, or let's see what we can blend together, and it was like, for season 2, part of that job was figuring out, like, oh, what should be live recorded in a season, what doesn't need to be live recorded. Sometimes you don't want to recreate sounds that already sound great on their own. They've been manipulated, processed in a way that it just works for the scene, and re-recording won't help in that instance. But if you have a string part that just really feels like it's big, case in point is that Nynaeve dream sequence that I think in episode 3 or 4 of season 2, and it's like there's this giant swirling string section that comes in. It's like that needed to be live, because it's that's something that really you need to feel the power of those players playing together. So it's different. And then other things can be manipulated, like with when Egwene becomes a daemon in I think episode 6, and there's like an Egwene theme vocal that is floating in there, just kind of in the periphery, but it's manipulated so that it pitch shifts and does weird stuff. And it's kind of like, she's going into a dark place, and it's like having the music reflect that. But I think also, fantasy, I feel like fantasy and horror are both like this, in that they're a blank slate, they're a canvas in some ways. Like, you can have fantasy comedy, you can have fantasy horror, you can have fantasy sci-fi. Same thing with horror. You can have horror comedy, you can have horror coming of age, you could have heart, it's like you can have so much within the context of that. And Wheel of Time is a perfect example of that. And so it's like musically you can also go in many different places than a traditional fantasy score might be, although traditional fantasy scores have their place too.
That's true.
But
that's true.
But yeah,
the innkeeper Hatch over at the Dusty. Oh, what's up, buddy? I can imagine how much prep you're working on. Actually, I don't have to imagine it. I'm also doing it.
I'm sure. Yeah.
What's up,
Lots
man?
of coffee for you guys.
Oh yeah. It's fun though, because it's like just all Wheel of Time stuff. So even when I get tired, I'm like, oh, this is still.
We can do it.
Yeah. I can push through.
It's going to be a great one. Yeah.
So I want to play this clip before we get too far away from it, but
Sure.
you brought us back a little bit to with the way what you were just talking about, specifically dialing up, like, one of the things I loved that they did in season 2 is they dialed up the horror in the Wheel of Time, especially dealing with the things like Egwene's being taken as a demone, and some of the stuff that happened with Matt, and obviously like wow, what you just said. Nynaeve's Terangrial trials. The dream sequences in the Terangrial. Matt did stream the full season 2 yesterday. Yes.
So much.
I kept popping in and out every time. Like, I was on my computer. I had it up on my one of my second screens here. Yeah. I get that too, man. Like when we did all of season, we did like an 11-hour stream or something like that for season 1, just before season 2 came out. It's not fun. I don't even want to think about 22 hours.
Yeah, that is another level. Wow, that's incredible. That is incredible. I'm sure people really enjoyed that though.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, first of all, Matt's not a bad dude to look at for 22 hours. If you got to stare at somebody for 22 hours, Matt innkeeper Hatch over there is pretty nice
handsome
to look
man.
At. Yeah, even though not that this is a dig at all, but he did just turn 50. But wait. Does that mean we can call him a zaddy?
Ooh.
Please make this happen. Chat, please make that happen. Just do, hashtag and keep her hatch Sadie or something. I want that to happen because that'll make him uncomfortable and it'll make me happy.
Classic.
Back to dialing up the horror. They did a really good job dialing up the horror in season 2. Especially, they had one of the directors they recruited for season 2 was Mira. No, that's the actor who plays Varen. I don't remember the director. Sanaa Hamri. That was it. Sanaa Hamri. She directed mostly horror stuff, and she was a big horror director prior to being on Wheel of Time. And the episodes that she directed it was evident there. But you mentioned the movie Dead Whisper, and I did grab a clip from that too because specifically it was a horror movie, and I wanted to see kind of like what it was. And before you even said it was kind of like a little bit like a psychological thing, I was like, you can tell from the score. Like I could feel it in my I could feel it in like my brain, the base of my brain, like the scratch, the instrument. Well, you could tell us what the instruments were, but like
totally.
The sound when it was happening. All right, I'm gonna play the clip real quick.
Okay, wonderful.
Instead of talking about it. Awesome. Like the right at the end there where like it pitches up and it's
very
like,
hot.
It was, that's when I could feel it. Like but if you go and listen to that whole clip, which the links for all of the clips I've been playing are in for the full videos from all of the clips that I've been playing are in the YouTube description of this video, and Erin can get them posted in chat for people in chat.
Hold on, she's feeling unsettled.
a fun fact about that cue, actually, you probably heard the beginnings of the ooze, the vocal kind of ooh. So that was actually Abby Lyons, who was the featured vocalist on the Wheel of Time. She sang on like
awesome.
Egwene's theme, I think Maureen's theme, if I remember correctly. But yeah, she's like all over the score for season 1 and 2.
That's cool.
And we became friends through working together on the show. And I interacted with her quite a bit because she recorded some stuff on the cues I'd worked on season 2. So I just contacted her about, joining in this crazy experimental score, and she was like totally up for it. So it was great. And awesome. Part of that was recording written stuff. So the ooze were the written stuff, but then, I didn't get a chance to post it here, but there are other cues in that score that you hear the vocals are like just weird. Like it's kind of alludes to the same similar effects and stuff that were used on that Egwene Daman sequence, where it's just kind of pitch shifting and distorting and going in different parts of the speakers and stuff. So
Noman Garden called out it perfectly. This is something that I took notice too. Those short unfinished like background notes that weren't part of the main theme that you kind of just dropped in. Those are the things that are like, oh, hey. Like it's like
off balance.
Man, I'm getting a little chills thinking about it again.
Thanks. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, it was good. And also, I believe it's streaming over on Prime, the movie. Yeah, it is.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone wants to watch it, not now, please watch the rest of our stream. But go and check out if you have, obviously you got to have Amazon Prime if you're watching Wheel of Time. So go watch the thing. Oh, and I just want to say real quick as a reminder, when the show comes out, and I hate that this is a thing, but it is for streaming purposes. The way that one of the ways that they take ratings, and especially for Amazon, this is dumb, is new subscribers. So like if you subscribe for to Amazon Prime, and then the first thing you watch after you activate your subscription is say the Wheel of Time, that counts in their favor. So Taylor Napier actually posted on his Instagram, if you want to see a season 4, make sure to stream the Wheel of Time as much as possible and cancel your Amazon Prime subscription, reactivate it, and then watch The Wheel of Time.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's one of the. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like I don't want to say dumb. Like I don't know the full thing. I'm not a freaking expert on ratings and stuff like that. But I feel like especially for a company like Wheel of Time, a company like Amazon, that people are subscribed to their subscription basis for things completely nothing to do with
streaming.
They could even have their medicine coming to them through the Amazon pharmacy at this point. Like you're going to cancel it and then re-up it and risk your. It's a little crazy.
It's bizarre. Yeah. It's really bizarre. Yeah. I mean, I think probably they're the only thing I can think of why they would even do this is like, oh, they probably want to track who is subscribing to watch The Wheel of Time.
Yeah,
maybe, but at what cost, right? So
I feel, honestly, and you don't have to say anything either way on this. I don't need to get you in trouble with anyone, but I feel like it's also just an easy way for them to like use a soft metric and get away with paying people less. But that's most large companies and studios nowadays, and that's why we had the entire SAG-AFTRA strike. And again, we are full supporters of unions here.
Yes, totally.
Anyway, the Dead Whisper clip was creepy, and I can't wait to hear. You don't have to. You can even tell us to WAFO, watch and find out. Are there any creepy themes that you can talk? Oh wait, if you worked on season 2, then we can bring up a definite creepy one. Did you have any? Did your fingers touch the Mogideon music at all?
Oh yes, actually.
Oh boy, good job. Good job.
So scary.
Good job.
And a specific, I guess, ending sequence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. She. I mean, don't get me wrong. She is freaking creepy. Like.
Oh yeah.
I forgot the actor's name that played. There's so many actors in my head.
She did such a good job in that show.
Disturbing. Like she is disturbing. Like the Shanshan are, as Rafe would say, fucking terrifying. Like. She disturbs me on such a level that it's wonderful. I love it.
It becomes like a clear indication, like, oh, we're taking things up a notch. You could feel it. You could feel her presence in that room. It's just suffocating. Like, it's so good. She's such a good actress. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, as a book reader, the like seeing that fear on Lanfear's face.
Oh my gosh.
Just Leia Costa. That's the actress.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Glenn, for reminding me, and Noman Garden for just saying it. Though Winter's Lady beat you to it, Noman Garden. So Noman Garden, by the way, Nikhil, is our like resident encyclopedia of knowledge. He usually, he's my like, not like the devil and angel on the shoulder. He's just he's my gnome. He sits on my shoulder and he's like, no, you got that wrong, Tom. It's actually from book 5 or whatever. Like, I'm like, all right, thanks. I just trust Noman Garden whenever he says anything.
Very handy.
He could be full of shit and we would still just absolutely trust him.
Yes, that is exactly. What did you tell him? All right, so I think this is a good time to finally queue up the episode. We're only almost an hour into our stream. And I don't want to keep Nikhil too late. I know it's early for you over in Los Angeles, but I don't want to keep you too late. So
no worries.
I'm going to get the link for our watch party. So if you're going to join through the watch party link, I will have that up for you in chat in 2 seconds. I just got to make sure I'm the only one that has control because we can't have nice things.
Not to be trusted.
I'm joking. I love all of you awesome nerds. All right, I'm posting the link in
happy.
chat.
We see Wheel of Time and we're like, ooh, play, go.
And I will be sending it to everybody here in just a moment. There we go.
Oh, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
You have not you. I talk to you every day. I don't talk to you anymore. Who is your favorite character? Like when you read the books, who was your favorite character?
That's a good question.
Oh man, that's a great question. Probably Egwene. I just love her arc. Yeah. Well, it's hard to say. Nynaeve also, her arc is just incredible. But I think Egwene, like there's something I just felt like she was a badass from the first, really from the first book onwards. And especially in the second one. Like I just felt like there's something to this character. And just the way the whole thing goes all the way up through Memory of Light. Like, I think she's my favorite. How about you, Bug?
Oh man. So I will tell you, I was going to ask you to follow up. Do you have someone that you couldn't stand? Like, so I started reading the books and I was probably like 20 because I've been reading them for 20 some odd years. And so Nynaeve, I couldn't stand Nynaeve at first because I think she was too motherly and too matronly. Now at my age, like I absolutely love her. My favorite character is Matt. I love Matt. He's, he's my absolute favorite. But my favorite female has always been a struggle for me. It's probably Egwene. Like that's where my name that I was on Dragonmount for a long time was from Egwene.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. No, I felt same with Nynaeve. Like when the first few books, I was just like not having it.
She's very petulant those first few books.
Yeah, very much so.
We've talked about that specifically here a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her difference in the show and how much we like it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And
Jedi
I guess
John, what up?
Character I couldn't stand, probably Elida.
Love to hate
really made my blood boil,
Oh god. And now with Shorey Agdashloo playing her, like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I love that woman. I love her in every single role she's ever played.
Yeah.
She's going to make me, like Kate Fleetwood made me love Leandrin's character, she's going to make me like Elida, and I hate that about her, but I also love that about her.
I'm so excited to see
Glenn, I knew you liked Matt, but I didn't know you felt that way. That's awesome.
Okay.
It's awesome, yeah.
For me, my favorite character, like the character I've always been most excited to read from when I first started reading the books was Moiraine. Then a very close second was Perrin. And it was mainly because I was reading the books at a time when I was using them for like very strong escapism. And when I was in like middle school and things like that. And my teacher, taking it as an opportunity to teach me something, when I was reading them in school, was taught me about like the hero's journey as a concept in literature and things like that, and then like pointed out, in the Lord of the Rings that's Gandalf, and in Star Wars that's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and like she pointed out all these different ones, and what made Moiraine interesting to me at first was like I was like, oh well, this is a woman, and every single other person you named was a man, so like that's interesting. And I remember kind of like latching onto that early and being like, that's cool. But then Perrin, because I mean, for obvious reasons.
Fair point.
Yeah, I've always been large, and he has a pretty great beard. So
yeah.
One thing I did want to mention is you mentioned earlier, like the end of the Great Hunt was particularly powerful for you. Me too. My favorite scene in the entire series almost is in the Great Hunt, and that's when Ingtar reveals himself to be a dark friend. And asks for like, is there ever a way I could redeem myself, and then does the whole thing. That's also Maria Simmons, who worked on The Wheel of Time with Robert Jordan for 20 plus years. Like I think they're closer to 30 years now. That's her favorite scene as well.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you share, you liking the end of that book is sharing something in common with her as well. So
wow. That's awesome.
That's fun. Yeah.
I remember that whole sequence, that last third of that book. And I literally felt like I was like my whole universe was opening up or something. I don't know how to explain it better than that. I just felt like it was like electricity was coming from those pages, Yeah. Really, it really felt like that,
Yeah. I felt the exact same thing reading that with all of the, stuff that happens. There are obviously spoilers for The Great Hunt, but we told everyone that already. I'll get my banner back up for, we're only going up to Fires of Heaven. Right. But the heroes coming out, and Rand with Ishamael, and Ingtar, the battle with Tuon and I mean not Tuon, Turok and Rand, all of that was so cool.
So great. Yeah.
And then the music though for it when it was depicted on the show was fantastic. And the way they depicted it on the show was great. Honestly, the only thing that I was upset about with the Rand-Turok interaction was I was looking forward to seeing Turok's collections. And I was hoping like they did the fight in his like office or whatever. That was all I cared about. But the way they did it with like, it was like like a nod to Indiana Jones, the scene where
Yep.
Yeah, where he twirls the sword and he just pulls the gun out and shoots him. I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah. I know some people's gripes for that particular scene was that it was so short. It all happened so fast. which I can understand as well.
Yeah.
But also it kind of demonstrated Rand's, power at that moment.
Yeah. And his mentality too, you have to remember, when I say you, I mean the collective you, everybody, not you. You know this already. They aged them up in the show. So like Rand's a little bit smarter than he was in the books. And everyone did give him shit early on in the books when he went to his sword first before the one power. And they were like, dude. And even later, way later in the books when he's still using the sword, they're like, dude, stop risking yourself in a needless sword fight. You don't need to do that. So, he's a little bit smarter. He's, think a little bit clearer on things, and I think made the right decision on that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. Before we press play on the video, I also have for people a timer, which is there we go. It's popped up now in the corner of my screen, that I will align with the show as we press play. So if you're watching by other means other than the watch party, which I'm sure are completely legal and giving Amazon their rights of things, you can align your show to the timer that I have going in the corner.
I'll say one quick thing. Just this first scene. If you listen very closely in the dialogue, you'll hear, because Lauren had written a bunch of these themes for the show, and ones that were specific to season 2, and one was the Forsaken theme. And there are variations of the Forsaken theme that we'd worked on as well to kind of mimic different types of scenes. So you hear a melodic like tease of the Forsaken theme in that intro sequence. Yeah.
I love that. All right,
Little
let's see
Easter
if we can see it. All right, so I'm gonna press play on the show and on the timer. If you're watching in the watch party, it should just start playing for you. I tried for you guys. I paid for the ad-free version of Amazon, but it does not carry over for you to your watching unless you also have the paid Amazon subscription. But when you rejoin the watch party, it'll bring you back to where we are. You don't have to like press anything or do anything. It'll bring you back to where we currently are in the watch party. Sadly, though, that doesn't mean you'll miss like 20-30 seconds of the show when the ads play. But again, Amazon apparently has to get their money. So here we go. I'm gonna give you a little countdown and press play. 3, 2, 1, and play. And we're aligned and it's going. If this is the first time you're joining us on the rewatch, I always tell people, make sure to turn your subtitles on. Yep. Especially when you're doing a rewatch of the Wheel of Time TV show, because often they'll put stuff in the subtitles. So things will appear in the subtitles that are more information than you're getting in just the show. Specifically, I like to cite names. There's a lot of names that they'll put next to like when people are talking, and we haven't had that name on screen yet sometimes. And like, or we get confirmation that a character is a character, like Days Conger in the Two Rivers. It said Days next to her name.
Yep. Even though she wasn't.
And she hadn't been named yet, like next to something that she said in that episode 1. So little things like that.
Also, having the X-ray on when you watch, because then you we're in Teleranriod or Tanchico or wherever we are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you go tanning in Tanchico or anything like that. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things. That was how we knew we were in the Ways in some. I'm not the Ways. Teleranriod in some scenes, and
right.
Breen Springs, another town entirely made up for the show. Is it the opening sequence of the actual show? So after the theme and the recap?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
it should be. I think it's after the recap, but before the theme. So there's like a cold open, if I remember correctly. Yeah, right here.
Okay. I love this cold open, by the way.
Oh, it's great.
And because I have problems. I have a ton of screenshots of specifically this part because there's a lot of cool stuff here, and I wanted to show a couple of specific ones while we were chatting.
Awesome.
Where are they? There they are. I had them somewhere. I was like, I know I took these screenshots. All right. And I'm going to share them so that we can check them out. I do not want to share my audio because I don't want to get
don't do that.
Content violated by Amazon. Okay, there we go. So this is just an aerial shot of that room, but it looks really cool. This is the eye of the world for those who don't know. Like This is actually where the end of season 1 takes place, but pre 3,000 years of the blight growth over it. But one of the cool things that I saw when I was rewatching this a couple of days ago. So we have, get a little bit closer. Ishamael, Fares is gorgeous, and I'll look at him all day. So is Alexander Karim, something like that. The guy who plays Lews Therin. But in this shot, you can actually see there's like a second floor and probably more where there's more people channeling.
Oh, yeah.
I never noticed that until just this time when I was watching it, which just means you have to watch and rewatch and rewatch and rewatch like as many times as possible. So I did this weave they did was very powerful. If there's, like if I go back, you could see how tall this room is. It's pretty big. And when they start at outside, there's many layers. So to think that there's that many maybe people contributing to this weave, and if they're as powerful as Lews Therin, and maybe this is even his 100 companions or something like that. That means this weave is very powerful. Like, could this be the 100 companions when Lews Therin sealed the the boar? That would be an interesting scene to have been able to see. So did you have any part of this main theme, or was this done before you came onto the project?
Yeah, so the main theme was actually done before I came onto the project. And it's kind of the Moiraine's theme, right?
Yeah.
And so part of season 2, and kind of, I guess we're at episode 8 now, so I can kind of spoil.
Yeah, you can spoil episode 8.
Up to episode 8. Moiraine's arc in this, kind of, she loses her ability, right? Like there's a few things that she goes through self-doubt as well. And so to kind of capture that musically was also an intention. So, taking Moiraine's theme and going, how can we recontextualize this and make it feel melancholy and more slow? And you'll see that in a couple of this, I think in one of the sequences in episode 8, if I'm not mistaken, where she gets her power back, right?
That happens in this episode.
Yeah, right. And so you'll see kind of teasing elements of that in this episode as well.
This is the first time where she's really using it again, and she rebonds with Lan in this episode. So that's the
right.
part that happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So a lot of this was figuring out different variations for things. So for example, and we can kind of dive into the weeds a little bit more when we get there, I guess. But there's that one scene with the Egwene killing the Sul'dam.
Yeah, powerful scene.
Powerful, yeah. And there was this idea that, like, hey, we had this kind of powerful scene where that happens, and then afterwards, Egwene has sort of crossed a line in her own mind, and so the Forsaken theme starts to play there, and so it's this just kind of subtly weaving this stuff in, where you're not necessarily cognizant of it. It's not like you're sitting there going, "Oh, that's that theme, that's this," but you're aware of it on a subconscious level,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, we are Wheel of Time fans. Some of us, they people do spot it, and we do call it out. Often it's the Moiraine theme, because it's so like we've come to recognize it so easily at this point.
Yeah.
Totally. And I do remember it playing in that first episode when she's with the water buckets, and she's in the bath, and like
that's right.
Beautiful.
Yep.
So like that scene is so powerful, like with emotion. And the beats that hit is specifically when she's in the bath and she runs her fingers over the water, like they did in episode 1 of season 1 when she heated the water and now she can't do it. It was there.
You feel the sense of loss. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
And so there was like this melancholy. There was this one, I think it was, I forget if it was in that particular scene now. I gotta rewatch it myself.
Yeah.
But there was a, because especially when you're working on it over 6 months. And so it does become a little bit of a blur at a certain point. But there was a part where, in the Moiraine's theme, like taking it, recontextualizing it, making it more melancholy, there was like a cello part I'd written, which was like this, da, 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 da. It's just kind of like this plodding thing, and that kind of helps accentuate that feeling of melancholy and loss. And so, it's just figuring out how to take these themes that were already established in season 1, then bring them into new perspectives as these characters go through their trials and tribulations, I guess.
Yeah. I want to ask a question about that specifically, but hold on. I want to just show this because before we get too far away from it, the gateway in this scene is really cool. And I love that it's in the middle of this like flood plain area, like at the shore of this beach. Like when as a book reader that these waygates were built in cities a lot of the times and in these groves that were big ogier gardens essentially with giant trees, and now here it is like almost in the ocean. You can really, it gives you a sense of how the world was broken apart. And we learned in the behind the scenes of season 2 during the fan event that they only had like between like a 2 and 4 hour window to film.
Well, and wasn't it only like a few days a month too? Like it was so short.
It was like a 2 to 4 hour window to film on like 4 days in a month where the moon tide would bring the tide up far enough to where this area would flood. God. Yeah. Because they had to do it at a full moon high tide to get this.
Right.
3 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
3 days a month.
3 days in a month for like just a few hours.
Yeah.
That is insane. See, that's the level of commitment, I think, to hear stories like that of just like what the team went through to put it together.
Yeah. Incredible. And fun fact about tides, the water doesn't move. We, as the land on Earth, actually just rotate in a bubble of water. Let that sink in for a little while. Okay, so when you were talking about composing the things and how everything turned into a blur, something popped in my head. Do you see, like, did they show you a clip of the scene? Do you just see like a storyboard? Do they give you a script, like, or is it just, hey, like we want something like this or something like that? How does that work?
Yeah, so we'd actually see the full episodes, and we would be scoring to the full episodes. Yes.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
That's awesome.
So, like obviously Lauren and then the team that was involved in it, myself included, we would maybe pick some cues to start working on, and then we'd be coordinating very closely with the music editor, the editor, and then and then of course Lauren would have to approve it, the editor, music editor, then the editor, then the production, then the showrunner, then Amazon. So it was always like a gauntlet to get the cues across the finish line. But it was great because you would see it in different incarnations, and what it ends up in the final show is also slightly tweaked because they got to keep in mind that the dialogue, which is, comes in first, and then the sound effects and music, right? So making sure it's all spaced around that. Yeah.
I was wondering, like, what does your like work area look like? Are you always in a studio surrounded by computers and lights, or like does that change ever?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what you see here. If you could, I don't know if you could really see it on this screen, but kind of like this. A lot of acoustic panels.
Okay.
And which helps with the sound as well. You can hear kind of a proper reference of like, what does the sound like here? What would it sound like on a phone, in car speakers, and have a better sense of that. But I will go to studios on occasion, like when I'm recording a live ensemble. If I can go to a studio in LA, then I'll go. Or if it's like a soloist. So for example, for the Wheel of Time, the soloists, they would record their stuff in their home studios, send it to us to work on. Or, the same thing with Dead Whisper. Like when I would hire soloists, Abby Lyons, she's based in Chicago, so she would send me parts.
Okay.
Ashley Jarmack, the woodwind player who plays that hypnotic kind of haunting melody at the beginning of that reunion clip you played, she's based in LA, so I just went to her place and we just experimented. So it
That's
depends.
Cool.
Yeah, depends.
That's cool. That's
so,
really cool.
Do you have
cool,
like
going to their place and like playing with sounds? That's fun. I love
like a playground.
I love seeing musicians like just jam out essentially.
Totally. Yeah,
that's cool.
No, what I was gonna say is, so like a lot of writers have really specific like rituals or things that they do when they start something. Do you have like a process? Is there a way that you approach like every new project that you start? Do you have anything that's like helps you get started?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it depends on the context of which I'm involved in a project. So for example, like with the Wheel of Time, I think like I was part of a team. And so part of that was also figuring out like, okay, what would where would I be the most useful? And since I had the book knowledge, and since like Lauren, put me in charge of helping to delegate which cues should be taken by whom, and this kind of a thing, it was also a question of like, okay, where will the attention to source material be the greatest? Where will it not be necessarily as important because you're not scoring the subtext of a scene, something like that. I think if I'm working on my own projects and I'm working on the themes as well as the variations and everything, top down, in that case, I will oftentimes, like, I'm a big, like a practicer of meditation, and I try to do that before I start working on the music. And then oftentimes I'll picture a few times, and then I'll step away from it entirely, and right, because it's like I always feel like if you can get a central theme or
there he goes.
Oh no,
pictures as well, then you can kind of am I backstage?
No, you're back now. You kind of dropped for a second, then came back. Yeah.
Can you hear us? I wonder if he's got.
Yeah, I wonder. I think he might have a connection
froze.
thing. We'll give him a second. Let him see how that is. I'm gonna talk. Are you back? Can you hear us? It wouldn't be a show unless we had technical difficulties. I mean, even Matt, if you guys watched Matt's interview with Rafe too, he also.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody got any guesses on where Rafe was? That was.
I'm gonna say he was in a closet for sure. Like it sounded like he was like it was so compact in there. I'm gonna drop him backstage for a second. Send him a text message.
Yeah, I think it's just fascinating because I think everybody, when they're doing something creative, starts from a different place. You know what I mean? And so it's always fascinating to hear people's process.
Let me pop him back in and see if he can hear us yet. Can you hear us yet? Nope, still can't hear us. I sent him a text message though, so he should get that message in a minute. I do. I want to bring our screenshots back up for a second because I forgot. Oh, where did it go? I took it out of stage. There it is.
Thatcher, we're right at 15. Hold on, Thatcher, we're right at 15 minutes. 15:05. 6.
Yeah,
7,
sorry.
8.
Let me go back over here. Yeah, 15:10, 15:11, 12.
Yeah, we're not.
I'm gonna bring him back in again just to see if you could hear us yet. Can you hear us yet? 15:10, 15:11. Nico. I'm gonna bring him back in again just to see if you can hear us.
Oh, I wonder if the YouTube's louder than.
Nah, yeah, but that's not gonna matter to him.
Hello.
He just. Hello.
Hello. I wonder if the YouTube's louder than.
Nope, he still can't hear us.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. He can't hear us though.
Darn.
I'll pop him backstage again for a sec.
Mm-hmm.
The Damane's face in the scene was particularly
God.
Even the background actors that only have like a scene or two are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to make a call to that because she was great. Hello, friend. Technology sucks. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just leave him backstage for a second. Yeah, I can hear him too. We can hear him too. I just don't think he can hear us, but we'll bring him back in a minute.
We'll come out and come back in.
Yeah, it would not be a Wheel of Time stream unless we had technical difficulties. Something happened because he like disconnected there for a second, then like from the call entirely, and then popped back in.
Power surge or something.
Hello, friend.
What was the phone company? There was like, can you hear me now? Is that
Yeah,
right?
can you hear me now? Verizon, I think. Send him another text message. I think he just needs to refresh the page.
Or just close it and start over again.
What we saw of Egwene too. I think we could talk a little bit about the episode 1. We won't spoil too many. I think you can see us. Yay! And then he disconnected immediately.
Oh no!
Yeah, I saw him put his thumbs up.
Gnome has not watched it, so if we're gonna talk about it,
I won't say we're not. No spoilers. But I just want to say they do. One of the things that we did want to see from them, and I hate saying it because it's like I hate wishing or like hoping for bad things for our characters, for anyone really, but like they did do a good job of bringing that trauma to show how it affects the characters and stuff like that for in season 2 with Egwene specifically. But anyway,
Hey,
Nikhil.
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yay!
Sorry about that. I
The
don't know
wheel
why.
has woven again to bring you back to us.
It's a dark friend, I swear.
It was a bubble of evil, probably.
It was. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate you. No, yeah, it was like you disconnected for a
Yeah,
second and then
Yeah.
reconnected, and then you couldn't hear us, but we could hear you.
Oh, okay, yeah. I actually turned on the speaker at one point, and then I could hear you saying, "Oh, maybe it's better to refresh." So I did the 2 thumbs up, and then I.
Yeah, okay. yeah. There you go. Perfect.
But,
It worked. I'm glad that
so-
worked. Sometimes, did you turn it off and turn it back on again? That's
Yeah,
usually
that's
what it is.
exactly what I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So I start a question from somebody in chat. Where is it?
Oh, yes.
And I wanted to make sure I asked it. Oh, there it is. It was a callback to when we were talking about how you receive things from Amazon or whoever, from the team.
Yeah.
When you receive it, it's still like finished product, like it's just deliverables and like dailies and things like that, or is it like really just post-production work for you?
The
Or
episode
both,
without
really?
like
Yeah. So it actually a lot of even the VFX and everything are done at the point that we received it. So there's certain things that were not, and you would you would get new cuts to things as they're working on it. So part of it would be like, oh, let's conform what we're working on with this new cut and make sure that everything lines up, or shift things where it needs to shift. And
Makes sense.
but yeah, like actually we would get, and they were very good about that and having a music editor was so crucial, I think, because had it not been for Rod's work, it would have been very difficult to wrangle all those themes and figure out what goes where, what would work best for the editor and such.
Mhm.
And so they were working closely together. So the edit we would get was with music in mind, and so we could kind of get to work without it being in a very rough point where it'd be harder to kind of score to picture at that point. So
I got you, buddy. Don't worry. No, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, and it makes sense too, because like if they give you something too unfinished and they're going to cut too much, like the music wouldn't align anymore.
It wouldn't make
Exactly.
Yeah. So that makes perfect sense now that you say it like that.
Totally. It
This
would have
and
taken
here's-
even longer than 6 months, right?
Yeah, exactly. Here's our Moiraine really coming back into her power again, finally doing some big stuff. And this is a beautiful scene, this rebonding that happens, which brings up a lot of implications for things. We do know that there obviously stuff has changed for the TV show, and Matt mentioned this during his stream, but it's something that we've talked about a bunch, but I like the way he put it. That they've taken like a very hard magic system, for non-literary folks who've never heard that term. It means like a magic system with rigid rules and things like that, and kind of softened it a little bit, which is okay. Like it's its own thing. Like it doesn't need to follow the books exactly. I'm not one of those people, but this tells us a little bit about it. Like, somehow Ishamael was able to sever this bond, or whatever he did to her severed this bond. It was more than just a regular shield, and they had a rebond. And the fact that we get to see that really harkens to, first of all, it's a great scene. It really looks a lot like the scene from New Spring when they bond the first time.
Oh yeah.
And I love it a lot. And
That's great.
I did take a couple of screenshots from this scene.
This is actually just like a musical contextual reference. This is one of those scenes where perfect example of the music. I remember when I was working on that scene, that bonding scene. We had originally decided maybe we'll have it crescendo with some live vocalists and stuff. And we went back and forth, and then we realized actually downplaying a little bit, making it more subtle, so that you really focus on what they're going through. And kind of the focus on that bonding, like it highlights that more. If you push the music, it can maybe take away from the moment, make it
to
smaller.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
true.
a balancing
That's
act, you know.
That's a delicate balance that to have to play
Very
with.
much. Yeah.
But Noman Garden, you're absolutely right. Like we don't see her do it, and she doesn't talk about doing it. But that is the prevailing. It's not even more a theory. It's more of a scientific theory at this point. Like if you know what that means. Like it's the highest level of pretty much what everyone thinks went on. Especially because yes, like you said, Maureen did talk to Alana about bonding and releasing bonds and things like that. So it could have been that too, which would make more sense. So yes. The music in the horn blowing scene and the sound effects behind the horn blowing scene, like I mean, I guess it's music. It's not like a song or anything, but it's a full piece of music that happens there is also awesome.
Oh, it's amazing. You know, like the people who worked on that, like phenomenal job. But that's one of my favorite parts of the music in that season, honestly. Yeah. And to do that is really difficult because like the horn sound is kind of becomes, part of imbued into that Matt blowing the horn.
Very important.
Very important. Yeah. So this, those things always take a long time to get right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great.
I'm so glad that they had you working on this season, and I hope they keep you around. Like, if we need to start a petition, let me know.
For sure.
Because I love having you. I love having you there.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot. It was a dream come true, and the darker parts of this season actually were really fun. Because from a musical world building standpoint, like I was working a bit on Dead Whisper during the tail end of the work on this. And so, it's nice to be kind of playing in parallel worlds a little bit.
Yeah.
Really cool.
This is specifically this scene right here. I just wanted to cite too while we're here.
Yeah,
is a great scene for Egwene, your favorite character, because we're really seeing her use her channeling with no hand motions, which is like the first time we're really seeing it. And she's like, I love this look on her. She like uses her chest to do it.
Yeah,
if you've ever heard the term, say it with your chest.
Yep,
she did. She definitely said it with her chest right there. Fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So Winter's Lady is asking, who is technically, and Nikhil, you'll understand this. She is my daughter. I stood in as her mother for a first sister ceremony.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We did it at WalkCon. Anyway, the choir that's singing during the horn scene, I'm guessing is for the heroes. How did that work? How did composing that work?
So for that one, I forget who was involved in that particular cue. I got to listen to it again. But actually for that sequence, it probably would have been a mixed choir. Okay. And there were usually a couple featured vocalists we worked with. And that's the interesting thing with making a choir or sound, is to hire 30 people for a choir sequence. It's a tougher thing to do because you have to rent out a whole auditorium and stuff. But you can now, with the power of technology, you can record choir sample libraries. You can have a few featured vocalists, and they are really good with layering themselves as well.
Wow!
So they can stack themselves 3-4 times, and you have 4 people doing that mixed in with these samples, and you capture a lot more frequency that way, and you can do it under a budget. So that is also a thing that becomes like budget versus quality. And sometimes you can figure out the happy medium between both. Cool. But it likely was a mixed choir for that one. That's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah, good answer. I want to call one thing out because there's something I didn't see anyone talking about during the stream of the first episode of season 3, and that is the noticeable lack of Shinarans. I stopped here on the Ingtar scene. We just talked about it. I said it was my favorite scene. Rafe did tell us that they did film most, if not all, of the Ingtar revealing himself portion of that scene, but it ended up getting cut due to time. I really hope we see it on like a DVD extras or anything. I'll pay just to see that. Like, I don't care.
I think a lot of Wheel of Time fans would want to see, some of the stuff that ended up on the cutting room floor. Because like you mentioned, it's the tough part, I'm sure, for the production team. It's like 8 episodes. It's just not. It's great. I mean, obviously, but it's just not quite enough to tell the full story, So
I miss the early 2000s when we had 20 episode seasons. We do in the first episode though of season 3, we had a noticeable lack of hot Zimas.
Yeah.
And that is the nickname that the community has dubbed for Massima. So I didn't see anyone talking about that. Like, where are the Shinarans? So I'm hoping, maybe we get to see them, and that storyline is a lot of fun. Another storyline that could get cut, for time if they don't need to do that storyline, but I'd love to see Hatzima again at the very least. So here's a question that I would like to pose to you guys, because it's something that's come up recently in our discussions about Aes Sedai and the oaths and Black Aja and things like that. So obviously we know in the books the Aes Sedai swear 3 oaths. And I'm going to ask you a question because I don't remember fully from season 1 and 2. Do we specifically hear anyone say the 3 oaths? Or do they just say oaths and they never really reference a number of oaths? That's what I'm wondering about. I don't remember in the show if they do or not. Yeah, if anyone in chat remembers a specific scene where they specifically say 3, I'm wondering. So the question I want to ask though,
I don't remember them saying 3.
Me either. I couldn't either.
Well, wait,
but I didn't want to say they don't because I don't.
When Moiraine is talking to Egwene, doesn't she names them? She does. Yeah, she says them.
Does she?
Says
okay.
What they are. I think.
I was going to say.
I think.
Like we know what she tells Egwene there. Obviously she can't lie, but she does give them a rendering of them. Yeah, I'm remembering that now too. Mm-hmm. Is Moiraine breaking any of the oaths here when she channels against the Seanchan? Because technically, I don't agree with this, but I saw other people say they're not attacking her directly. How is she, being able to kill them? And she's obviously killing them. I've seen people say, well, she's not really attacking them. She's just setting the boats on fire. And like, I could see that's not going to hold up in court. And I could see somebody saying it. That's not going to hold up.
In her mind, they're cold and she's trying to warm them up. That's all.
Yeah. And then you can also kind of twist maybe the Seanchan are attacking Lan and her at the same time on the beach. Like, Lan's fighting like fucking 10 guys at once because he's awesome. Like, does she use that as a thing? So like, what are your guys' opinions on that? Do you think totally fine? This is like within the 3 oaths, or do you think it's maybe a little murky and we don't know?
That's a good question. I don't know. I kind of feel like it could be murky. I think it'd be interesting to see if there's any kind of mention of that in season 3 as well.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously Rapunzel, if they kill Rand, that's not going to be great. And she could twist it like that. Though I will say, and this is an implication that I started thinking about recently too. I don't remember where I started thinking about it. The 3 oaths only say to defend a fellow Aes Sedai. It does not say to defend a novice or an accepted. Just putting that out there. Doesn't say initiated the tower. Doesn't say anything. It says Aes Sedai, fellow Aes Sedai.
Right.
I just wonder too, though, like with the oaths, they can say things that are untrue if they believe them to be true. Like, how much is it a test of wills to be able to convince yourself that this is the truth?
Yeah.
Right.
We're about to get fake Shandare now, or DIY Ashandare. Thatcher asked a question in chat that I want to bring up.
There's been a few, actually.
Are there any motifs in the music that you feel we've noticed or generally gets buried in the mix? Musical cues, hints that you feel are unnoticed or underappreciated?
I would say there's a couple places. So I might have already highlighted them when I was speaking about them earlier, but just to bring kind of like added clarification on them. So the one sequence where I feel like, every theme has very different variations to them. And so sometimes they can be more buried, right? Because they're meant to be more something that is not getting in the way of dialogue. They're mixed way lower, especially in the final mix. And so I do feel like the Forsaken theme, the Seanchan theme, and Egwene's theme, especially in this season, if you listen very closely in specific scenes, and I would say, like, of course, like the one I mentioned with the Soldam sequence in this episode, there is with Egwene and then becoming the Forsaken theme. The Forsaken theme as it appears at the very beginning in that first sequence with Ishamael. there you I think it's almost like Easter eggs that you would be able to hear them.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go and isolate that.
Definitely. And sometimes it's just like one vocal, or it's like one synth kind of thing that's just like slightly teasing the first few notes of the melody. But
my God, I love you.
It is out of design, because it's like you don't want to announce it every time.
Yeah.
Right? You want it to feel subtle. And the Wheel of Time is subtle, and it needs the subtlety, I think, throughout to bridge the gap. So when the big moments come, they feel like they're front and center.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a long-winded answer. I don't know if that hopefully clarifies things. But,
no, that's really cool. And oh man, I'll gush all day, but like I love that your brain is in there, like especially with your connection to the Wheel of Time, like that type of thing is awesome, and that's the shit that we live for, like as Wheel of Time fans.
Yeah, no, likewise. Like it is literally a dream come true.
Yeah. When I say Wheel of Time fans, it's like most of the community knows what I'm talking about, like where it's like the freaking nitpicking and deep diving and like theorizing that we do, because I mean Matt Hatch himself, innkeeper for Dusty Wheel, his start in the Wheel of Time community was he made the website theoryland.com. So like
I didn't know that.
That was him. He was the starter of that website, which came around around the same time as Dragonmount, and they're both 27 years old this year, 26 years old this year. Yeah. I know.
Very old.
Man, I was on the Usenet message boards talking about Wheel of Time. Like I couldn't remember the name of that until someone mentioned it in chat yesterday. I was like, oh my God, I remember that. I did that. I hate to say that these people are gorgeous, but like I have some pictures from the beginning of the episode that I want to show too, only because they're back on screen now. They're gorgeous though. Like the white cloaks, like obviously, Daddy Dane is gorgeous. Yes. And I have to play the clip that I always play for this.
Dane is coming.
I hope so. But the costuming is beautiful, like, and it's been beautiful like the whole time. I just had to call attention to that. So we glossed over a little bit a couple of scenes that I wanted to call out. So I'm just gonna grab those real quick. Yeah. Where are we? One was this. I loved it.
Yeah.
Like I loved when they saw each other. Donald became Matt for me when he saw Rand on the street in like episode 4, and the look on his face when he saw him, like that's when he became Rand for me.
Yeah.
And then this one just drove it home. Him meeting back up with Perrin, because it's the first time he gets to see them.
Right. Yeah.
And then we didn't see that yet, so we're here now. Mm-hmm. But I'll come back to our screenshots again in a second. Did you? Yeah, you did.
So this whole sequence, just prior to this scene now, with Egwene and the Sultan, the whole White Cloak sequence, there was originally going to be like a White Cloaks music theme there, and we were going back and forth with the production. We started actually taking elements out because there can be such a thing like what we were talking about as too much, too much in the scene. And the action needed to feel relentless, and it needed to speak for itself to some extent. So we could kind of tease some of that, but we took out a lot of the melodic instances of it and kept it more propulsive and, kind of fast moving so that it wouldn't detract from the scene. But
Oh, okay. We didn't pass it yet. It's right here.
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah. It's evident, man. Like we've been saying the whole time that the score to this, and like I said before, even the people that are critics of this can't say, they say nothing. Like they say actually specifically, the score is great, the costuming is great, the makeup and hair is great, the set design is great. So like a lot of the people that again aren't like toxic book cloak people, can't fight against the stuff here. And Guy said it when he was on with us, Guy Roberts, and I'm going to say it now. The fact that y'all were not even nominated for a single Emmy is just a travesty. And I really want to just yell at the American movie picture or the American TV show Association or
TV Academy, yeah,
TV Academy that picks that, because come on, I mean, like the score and the hair and makeup and the costumes alone.
You know, it's interesting. I
gorgeous.
feel like fantasy and horror are actually both like that in that respect, that they just don't get the love in these award shows in the same way. They're not
fantasy, horror, and comic books. They only just now starting to pay attention to them.
Right. Yeah. 100%. I mean, you saw Substance was, for the Oscars and everything. It's like, I hope that will be, kind of a thing that brings more horror, and then, more fantasy, more, more.
Yeah, it's art, man. It's just as much art as any other movies.
100%. Yeah.
And television.
Absolutely.
Like, and especially like, just sitting here and talking to you about it, the passion and dedication and attention to detail that goes into it. I hate when people don't like, oh, that's not art, it's fantasy. Like, get out of here.
Yeah. Completely
yes.
agree.
Oh, thank you so much, Dana Lou. I always forget to remind people, if you're having fun, drop a like, subscribe, hit the alert bell. Go to dragonmount.com. There's a ton of content that we put out, constantly putting out articles on everything that's happening with the show, and just randomly on other stuff that's going on at Tor, literary things, and other extensive, like I said, 26 years of Wheel of Time content. You can get lost there for a long time. So go check that out. And, I randomly do nonsense too, and with Crystal and things on YouTube. I don't like talking about myself, but yeah, I'm there too. Do that stuff. So here's something that I think is going to come back to haunt Egwene a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you told us, like, there's a little bit.
Yeah, you'll hear it actually. You'll hear that theme coming in. I think it's probably around here.
Probably when she dies.
Yeah, maybe when
she's gonna die in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be quiet so we can hear it. Oh God.
Oh man.
I heard it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, like it almost sounded like a woman going, Oh. There was like a hard drum too, right after she hit the ground.
Right. Yep.
That was so
and
good.
One of the things I did for that with the strings was kind of put them through a pitch shifter thing. So if you listen to the strings, they kind of seem almost like a little out of tune. So it kind of feels like it's just like
perfect for this Forsaken.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I have another screenshot too. I want to get up there for where is it? Did I have it? Yeah, there it is. Egwene's face in particular, right after and Zelia Mendez, who was Rena, absolutely amazing.
Oh my God, killed it.
This is her face right after she dies. Like, I feel like she thinks for like a half a second, like is a little regretful, and then she's like, the revenge part of her kind of takes over, and is like, never mind. Okay, here's a scene that it doesn't annoy me, like it's not bad or anything, but I'm like, come on guys, like how do you not ask a question about this? And we're gonna it'll be in a second. It's after Rand. It's with the horn and the case for the horn. People that have watched me talk about it before will know what I'm talking about, but we'll see in a second. Did we have any more questions pop up through the chat? And please don't be bashful if you guys want. Drop questions, any kind of questions you have for any of us, but especially obviously Nikhil. You should direct them all there. I love Yosha has really stepped up his game. Oh my God. Like I think I was saying throughout season 2, like Donald Flynn was an amazing choice, amazing actor. He's got some crazy range on him, but Yosha, holy crap. Not that he was bad in anything yet, but like the things that he's having to do with the character now are really flexing his acting muscles, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I believe if I remember correctly, I think, didn't he like, because he had read all the books, I think. Yes. And I think he had completed them prior to the filming of season 2.
Yes.
Or so, if thereabouts. And so, I'm sure that also probably informed his
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
it's like when you see where these characters go, and even if you knew all the story beats, when you actually experience what it feels like to be Rand in book 12, you know, Rand in book, and so I'm sure that probably helps, you know.
Yeah. Rafe did tell us that he asked like if he could read on and if it would like not affect his character too much, and Rafe told him that he should go, that he should continue.
Yeah, cool.
So Glenn, the geeky hippie and Jedi Sentinel, asked, you get one collection of music to take on a trip, the complete works of Howard Shore or the complete works of Bear McCreary.
Ooh.
Do you recognize those?
Oh yeah, so
including the John Williams, to be unfair to all. It's funny.
Bear McCreary has worked on some amazing scores, but I will always be partial to Howard Shore for the Lord of the Rings score. And I could listen to that any day of the week. And I remember actually that seeing those 3 movies in the theater and seeing the midnight screenings of them and seeing people dressed up and everything and experiencing that music for the first time, like that is what made me want to be a composer. So that's awesome. I will always be biased to Howard Shore.
Oh, and I forgot to comment on it earlier, but fantastic shirt, by the way.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
had to rep some Hoyt. You know?
Oh yeah. Okay, here it is. Here's the scene. I want to bring this up for a second again, because why didn't Loyal or Perrin be like, hey, dude, what's with your dagger and the black ooze that's growing on this magical box now?
It was a high pressure situation.
No one asked me a question. It was just, I was like, ask no one really? Everyone's just cool with this? Okay. Thatcher's got a question in there. What was your favorite scene to score as a book fan? And did you have a favorite character theme that you've worked on?
That's a really good question. I think, you know, there were a couple of variations I'd worked on for the Forsaken theme, and variations again being like taking the melodic idea and exploring different things with it, you know. One of that was the, you know, adding a little vocal to it, and then also pitch shifting the strings and doing weird stuff with it, adding that big drum thing where it's like, you know, it's just like boom, 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 you know, it's like on the beat. So just kind of this almost like hypnotic, like marching sound. Then, but my favorite scene, I think, was the Egwene being collared scene. That whole sequence was so disturbing, and I remember how I felt reading it in The Great Hunt, and so it was very special to work on that. And then beyond that, like taking Egwene's vocals and twisting it, because I feel like her theme has an innocence about it, the way, you know, like the melodic idea that Lauren came up with in that theme. And so it's like, how can we take what is innocent and mangle it? Because to me, that's what that whole sequence feels like. And the Shan-Chan kind of play on that. You know, it's like they kind of take what you have and twist it into their own image in a way. And so I think for me that meant a lot to be able to work on that.
We're at our Hopper scene. Oh, all right. If you want to look away now. God. Look away. I'll tell you when to. I'll tell you if you don't want to see any of the Hopper stuff. I'll tell you when you can look back. Oh, it's such a powerful scene. Oh my God.
Brutal.
I'm so sad. I
can't bear to see animals hurt like that.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. This is a perfect opportunity to share the Animal Friends Society charity again. I feel like for the Los Angeles fires. If you weren't in the chat when I shared this before, Nikhil was unlucky enough to live in Los Angeles near where the fires were, and we talked about that a little in the beginning. Thankfully, came out unscathed, mostly, and lucky. But I shared a link to a charity that helps people's pets and people with pets and animals that are displaced and hurt in fires and storms.
See, I can watch him get stabbed in the stomach all day.
All day. I'll watch White Cloak. I'll watch White Cloaks die all day long.
Yep.
Fair. Yep.
Yeah. Though I will say that I do love the White Cloaks in this show. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Oh, they did such a great job.
Such a great job.
Yeah.
And I'm beginning to sense that you have like a particular liking maybe for the horror genre. Is that am I wrong?
Yeah, no, I just grew up loving horror films. In fact, like my wife and I there was a period of time, like a year and a half, where we'd watch a different horror film every night.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
we're
awesome.
very big into horror. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I got that, the way that you were talking about some of the horror elements of it, and especially the fact that you liked working on the Damane scene and how, because it was so disturbing.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, the thought and attention to detail that you guys put into that scene at all levels is evident. And someone mentioned before that the fact that they didn't get an Emmy for their portrayals on scene is 100%.
Yeah.
Like,
criminal.
come on.
Yeah. They did such a fabulous job.
And here's our heroes.
Woo, love this so much.
Great scene. And yes, I do have screenshots of the heroes so that we can look at them. Such a good scene. I love this. I love this shot of Matt standing in front of the cloud. And here's our music. The choir is beautiful. And they're saying lines in this. Do you remember what the lines are?
Let me see.
Or is it just sounds?
Mute this in here if I can.
Sure.
Mm.
So I'll just go through while he's listening. I can go through and we can look at some of our heroes here. For those who watched episode 1 of season 3, you'll recognize a couple of the heroes here. We have an archer over here. There's also another archer that we recognize over here. This lady, maybe also from a particular, rectangular shaped piece of cardboard, and my man, Guy, or
Another moment that I screamed when watching.
What are we feckin' standing around for? Oh, it's Guy. I love him. And so all of the heroes look fantastic. I love that they had all of these different costumes and armor, and it's so great.
Well, it just speaks to like...
Wait. Ah, yes. When he shouted Doviandi Segovia Saga. Sorry, so great.
Yeah, no, I was just listening into it, and that was a mixed choir, by the way. And I'm trying to think of what that. I think it might have been a hero's theme or something like that.
Okay.
I think it might have been something that was.
Ooh, and don't say anything. I won't make you confirm or deny anything, but I feel like the fact that we have a hero's theme may mean we might hear it again. I'm just saying, and now we got to listen for it.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time. I'm gonna be listening for that hero's theme. I'm gonna go back and try to get an ear for it. See if I can pick it out somewhere.
Totally. Yep. Lots of Easter eggs abound.
I got him, Aaron. I start him.
I love that you have Easter eggs hidden in the music in this show. That's just makes me so happy. So happy. Like a lot of us already kind of started picking out some of those things like a little bit, but the fact that we know that like the attention to detail is there and it's purposefully done as much as like, especially at the level of someone who is a Wheel of Time fan who's read the series is coming into it, is just makes me excited to keep hearing now the music. I have to go back and just re-listen to music now.
Totally, on episodes. And it was actually really interesting too, because sometimes there would be the idea for like, hey, Egwene, like that whole scene with the Soldam Egwene, like, oh, let's try to have a Forsaken theme come in here. Sometimes it was very intentional from production. So the music editor would say, okay, let's tease this, let's bring in a little bit of Moiraine here, because it's the subtext is about blah, 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 or, stuff like that. And so, but from all levels of production, whether it be production, music team, everyone was very intentional about like, let's use themes to be the thread through the series, because otherwise, I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, because like otherwise it becomes like, oh, this is a scene about this, let's score that, and then it becomes disjointed. You want those themes to be like a through line through the score. Yeah.
Well, I mean, hey man, it worked. So where we are now with Nynaeve is something that I really think is going to be pretty heavily part of her character development in season 2, is particularly this scene and one other scene, this one. I didn't get the full gore behind it, but the I don't remember if we ever got the name for this Suldam, but when she got shot, I as knowing Nynaeve's character, she's definitely going to feel responsible for that Sul'dan's death, and then not being able to hear Elaine, not being able to heal Rand in a minute. All of those things I feel like are really going to build on her trauma that she needs to deal with in season 3. And I love seeing that character development.
Yeah.
Seta, thank you, Nomen Garden. See, I told you, Nomen Garden.
Knows all.
He does.
All right, we did have a couple more questions. What is your favorite instrument?
That's a good question. I grew up playing piano. And...
I love you on the piano, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much, man. Yeah, no, I just, it's like an instrument I feel most at home. You know, I just close my eyes and let my fingers like just fly over the keys. So, and writing themes and stuff. I just love writing on the piano the most.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Rapunzel did ask this earlier.
Oh,
Have
yeah,
you heard
I
of
heard it.
Wat Idol? Do you know what Wat Idol is?
No, I don't
Okay.
know what that is. What is it?
So it's a semi-annual. We've actually done it a couple of other times. So I said we as the community, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a submission event where people record music videos and music that's dedicated to the Wheel of Time. Usually ends up being 90% of it is parody music, but a couple of people have actually written original music for it, which is pretty cool.
No way.
And then they do it kind of like American Idol, where the viewers vote on things, and there's a prize at the end, and a winner, and it's a lot of fun. I'll send you the information for it, a link to some of the stuff. But
I would love to check it out. Yeah, that's
fantastic.
Amazing.
It's a lot of fun.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that sounds great. I would love to check that out. Thanks for letting me know about it.
Yeah. And I actually, we'll talk later. I have a question for you later about that I wanted to ask you about. But yeah, anyway. So who, String Flame, Mozart or Beethoven?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say Beethoven, probably for the angst. I also feel like if Beethoven was
It's fair.
the inner turmoil,
Yep.
And I think if Beethoven was alive today, he'd be a metalhead.
I could see that.
So,
I could see that.
I could go for that.
That brings up a good question. I feel like we haven't asked you yet. Do you have a genre of music that you particularly like?
It's interesting. I love film score music, of course, but beyond that, I grew up listening to like classic rock, 60s and 70s folk music. Like I love that period of music history, and I feel like it was awesome. Yeah, it's like one of those things where like every month a new artist was coming out with an album that was like seminal, that blew people's minds, and it was at a time where record labels would allow a band to have 5 albums to come into their own, and knowing that it would pay off. And I kind of wish we could go back to that. But
it's such a great decade, few decades of music.
Incredible.
B.B. King, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Fuck, James Brown came out there
James Brown, yeah. Then the Beatles,
Ray Charles
the Stones,
was big. The Stones, forget it, man.
The Who, Cream, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath.
Yeah,
so much good music during that
time. Yeah.
If you were to ever look at my iPod back in the days, it was an odd smattering of music from everything from like 90s and early 2000s hip hop and rap to Beethoven and Mozart and full piano or orchestral scores of video game music and things.
That's cool. That's amazing.
Specifically Final Fantasy. There's a lot of Final Fantasy songs.
Uematsu's a genius.
Nobu Uematsu.
Uematsu? Yeah.
Uematsu, okay.
Yeah,
he's fantastic.
Brilliant.
They did a tour of his music through Japan, and they came to like 2 cities in the United States, and I debated flying just going to see it. And I didn't.
Oh man. Well, hopefully they'll have more, because video game concerts have become a huge thing.
Huge.
They sell out stadiums and everything.
I recently went to an Avatar: The Last Airbender concert. It was my favorite thing. It was so great.
I missed it by 1 week. Like it was in Kansas City, like just a couple weeks before it was, and I flipping missed it, and I'm crushed.
Oh no!
I know.
Here's a great scene too. With I grabbed another screenshot from this scene that I thought was funny. It's Rand's face when he first sees Elaine. He's like, "Oh, who are you? What's going on there? You're kind of cute." I just thought that was great. And right, I forgot to share these. These were Moiraine channeling in these scenes were just gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
And let's see, how many Shanshin does Lan kill? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 Shanshin it takes. And he still beats them. So that's not enough Shanshin to counter a Lan. One Lan. So you have 11 Shanshin soldiers versus one Lan, and Lan is greater still. So we haven't reached that the culmination of that equation yet.
All right, now we've talked about classical music. I'm going to need some Bach after this. I was a flute player all through high school. And
really?
It's
That's so cool.
Bach's Suite in B minor was one of my favorite things to play. So
awesome.
I haven't listened to that in so long.
Oh, that's great. Did you play like mainly like classical music and stuff like that? Oh,
a lot of that. But then when I was, it was right around the time I started watching The Wheel of Time, there was a local band, and the lead singer, she was also a flautist, and she would play with like 80s rock music, and it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. She was incredible. Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Rapunzel spotted your face when I said Avatar: The Last Airbender. Are you a fan as well?
Sorry, say that again.
Are you a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Yeah,
well?
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I remember watching it.
Can't see your giant appa back there.
Yeah, no, but I do have my
Momo.
my.
Oh, that's great.
He's weighted.
Love that.
He's weighted.
Appa's my spirit animal.
Mine's Momo. Momo is right here over my shoulder. Yeah, there he is. Momo's my favorite.
Our cat Pepper is literally exactly like Momo.
Oh,
like constantly chittering and jumping around all over the place, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I grabbed a couple of fun screenshots from this scene too, only because this Fairs is awesome.
Yeah, incredible.
I mean, I'll look at this man all day long, but also like this scene is really cool. This makes him look cool. Yeah. And then we have obviously, oh no, wait, wrong way. This way. Yeah, there we go. Now they talk about in season 1 in the episode that we saw, the Valkyrie blade and power up blades being important, maybe. But when we go back and watch this, I guess first off, does any chat let me know too? And you guys, Nikhil, and if you can't say either way, obviously, I don't know. Do you think, based off just what we know right now in this scene, we know nothing of season 3, is Ishamael dead? What is your opinion?
My opinion?
Yeah.
Just watching this, well, okay, should I say like in relationship to books or just watching this?
Just watching this.
It's kind of hard to say, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if you have if you want to waffo us, you absolutely can.
Yeah, well, actually, it is a really good question. Maybe it is a WAFO answer.
Okay. I mean, we do see Ishamael in the promotional materials for season 3. So
yeah.
I just love Fairs, and I want more of him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's a force of nature.
But we see, and this is a question for chat. And maybe I'll do a poll. Do we think that the power wrought blades are what kill Forsaken, or was this just a one-off? Even like we'll think for the fact of right now, we'll take it on that Ishamael is dead and this killed him. Whatever happens in this scene kills him. But something else that I think people don't really realize with this blade is he's doing some sort of channeling to it. I mean, I don't think it's just heating the blade up to make it hot. Something else is going on here. And if this is indeed what kills him, I don't think just hitting a Forsaken with a power-up blade would do the job.
Yeah.
And I'll see if I can get I'll get a poll up in chat.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I hope they don't make that a thing in the show. To me, I always assumed that he, at bare minimum, channeled to heat up the blade, which would have been what killed him.
So does a power wrought blade by itself kill a Forsaken?
My
And I'm going to
answer's
put
gonna
that
be
poll
no.
in the YouTube chat. So if you're not watching in YouTube chat, you can go over to YouTube
Okay.
and vote in this poll and then go back to watching however you want. Speaking of Forsaken, though.
Yeah. Oh, this is. Mm.
This whole scene. Oh, I love the music. Now I'm going to
Well,
pay
because
attention to the
she
music.
comes
in the
in
scene.
just so casually, and it changes in an instant. Like her face, her demeanor, and that, like, it just in a moment is.
The softly from the shadows thing is great.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Pat and Fane's whistle as, like, you know, their moniker.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's a lot of creepy tones and singular tones playing, and like, oh god. Even though she does look like Lloyd Christmas, Jim Carrey's character from Dumb and Dumber.
The haircut.
Yeah, the haircut. She's creepy and awesome looking.
Mm.
And like Batman, given enough prep time, I feel like Mo Gideon might be able to take anyone on.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this scene is suitably creepy.
It just. She is a different kind of terrifying than any of the other bad guys.
Yeah.
There's a sociopathic side to her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Particularly, and I won't spoil it because I know there are some people in chat that haven't seen the episode 1 thing. There are some scenes in that episode 1 with Mo Gideon that the sociopathy is evident in.
Yeah.
Oh God, smelling her is such a weird
It's
thing
so
to do.
creepy.
I really want to ask Leah, was that like an improvisation? Did they tell you to like lean in and smell her? Like
right.
Well, it's just so violating. Like, you have to be so close to someone to do that. But still, I think my biggest ick of season 3 so far is what she does at the end of that episode.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, don't worry, Winter's Lady. We'll be talking more than enough about it. In fact, you might hear your fill of Crystal and I.
Yeah.
When our episodes that we've already recorded 4 episodes for you guys for episodes of the show, as well as spoiler filled as well as non-spoiler filled episodes. So
I cannot participate in the non-spoiler because I can't keep my mouth shut. So
that's fair.
It's
so difficult. Yeah.
It's so hard.
So I find it hilarious, by the way, that the next thing that's playing is Starship Troopers. On the thing. It's fantastic. I am going to close the watch party now, though. So if you're still in the watch party, go ahead and watch Starship Troopers. But don't leave yet because we are not done with Nickel yet. Nickel, we're not done with you yet. But though, if you do need to leave, I will hurry things up. I don't want to keep you too late.
No worries. Yeah.
All right. So that episode was very powerful. I know a lot of people, mostly book cloaks, made a lot of hay about some stuff in that episode, but I really, really enjoyed it. One of my favorite things, and I've been saying it, anyone that's hung out and watched us for a while, is that we get to experience the Wheel of Time again, even though we might know, and to steal from Brandon Sanderson too, now that you're wearing his shirt, we know where the journey ends. We know where the destination is, but the journey is something that we get to experience for the first time because a lot of it is different than it was in the books. And it's the journey that matters more than the destination.
Absolutely.
Steal from Brandon Sanderson directly.
And it is fun to see characters in a different light, actually. Yeah.
Well, to like characters that you haven't cared about before, like Valda. I want more of him. He could be in every scene. I've never liked a white cloak character at all. Like, you come to love different parts of the story, and it's incredible.
Leandrin, like there's the way. Oh yeah, phenomenal.
Rapunzel, I'll add it to the list of movies that we do for like movie nights when we have time in between shows. But we're rolling right into season 3 of Wheel of Time.
It'll be like April before we.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it before, in between. Our next show after season 3 is done, I'll make sure Starship Troopers is on the list of movies to watch when we usually break up. Nickel, we usually break up TV shows like that we do. Like we're doing for Wheel of Time right now. We've done for several other TV shows, including Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That's how I had never seen it until we did it on this rewatch ever. And
Oh
my
now-
God.
and so it's not just me now, it's like my son. I have a 3.5-year-old and he is
Oh, yeah.
obsessed. Like he loves it. He steals all my toys as I buy like the little figures and stuff.
I even
It's
sent one to him
incredible.
and he still steals her toys.
Oh yeah, didn't matter.
It's like I remember watching, just a quick aside of the Avatar:
Yeah.
The Last Airbender. I remember
will
watching it like
all day.
when I was in college, and I would literally just like stay at home Friday nights and stuff just to binge it. And I was just obsessed. I was obsessed with that
So
show.
good.
It's
And-
incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Rewatches are equally compelling, you know.
Oh yeah. That is one of the shows. Like we were speaking before the call tonight. How and I've said it on TV. I've said it on stream a ton of times. I'm not a huge music person.
Yeah.
In that I don't listen to music in a lot of instances where people would listen to music. Often, like when I'm doing a project or cleaning or mowing the lawn, I'll have
Sure.
a book, either a book or a TV show on in the background. If I'm near a TV, I'll put a show on. Avatar is one of those shows for me. Like I've watched that show. Like watched is a loose word there, but I've seen that show in its entirety countless times, almost as many times as I've read The Wheel of Time. And I also said when we were watching it, I would be hard pressed to make the decision if someone was like, we're getting rid of one property entirely, Avatar: Last Airbender or Wheel of Time, pick one, and I would have a tough time.
Yeah.
Because that's how much I love Avatar: Last Airbender. If you haven't seen it, please watch it.
Oh, it's so good.
It's worth it. Yeah.
Before we keep going, did we get any more questions? And there we go. Are there Thatcher asked, are there any personal touches that you added in any particular moment that it's unique, or a reference to a musical idea that you snuck in? Oh, and we're getting our executive producer back again.
Oh,
too.
thank God. I was worried.
All right,
That's
I'll pick
Luna.
you up.
I'm trying to think. So I guess, moments where I touched upon existing material. Oh, so cute.
He was scratching my leg to get picked up.
I would say one of the highlights was probably that whole Egwene being collared sequence, with like manipulating the vocal, and parts of that were original as well. There was also I think it was episode 7 with Matt and he sees like himself killing those people, like he's like in that room with the mirror.
Yeah.
And he sees himself
his ayahuasca trip.
Mm-hmm.
his ayahuasca trip. So that was all I believe original stuff as well, for the most part.
So see you later, Matthew. Bye. Sorry.
So that was all original stuff, I believe.
That's cool.
So the places where there was a lot of creep factor was an opportunity to do that. I think actually in that last scene in the Mogadin scene, there was a lot of kind of original sounds and textures that were developed for that scene. Yeah.
Not in your name.
Thanks,
Chat. What's up,
Paul?
Man, I'm so happy that you were here for this. This was great.
It's been wonderful. Thank you guys so much.
The insight that you shared into all of this music is so great, and like I said, your passion for it is evident. I can hear the nerdery in your voice when you're talking about it. It's awesome.
Totally. I wear it on my sleeve.
Oh yeah. You're one of us weirdos. Don't worry about it.
Well, I have all of you all to thank for making loud enough noise about that Wheel of Time pitch video that I did.
Oh yeah, how did that all come about? Like, was there a phone call? Who like?
Yeah, so actually, Lauren reached out to me directly because I posted that video, and that it was being shared so much by Twitter of Time and everything, and so he contacted me and he was like, "Hey, you want to do some work for me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, that'd be great." And so it started off with like a couple days.
Yeah. Do you think it was like he was giving you like a little trial?
Oh yeah, and it was like
wow.
Full on. It would be like 8 p.m. I would get two pieces of music to do. 4.5 minutes of music due by 8 a.m. the next morning. Good luck.
12 hours.
And then it would be like,
wow.
You wouldn't get as much feedback in those because it's like they're on the move,
Yeah. Let's see what you can do. You have to do it on your own.
Under pressure. Yep.
Sink or swim kind of thing. Yeah.
That's cool.
So there was not a lot of sleep those 2 weeks. It was a 2-week kind of a trial period. And it was like 7 days a week, But it was amazing. And it was interesting too, because like during those couple years I was working full time with the team. I was also trying to work on my own projects, and so I was probably working close to 100 hours a week for 2 years straight. And it was like there was a period of 5 months, 5.5 months, I think, in 2022, where I was trying to work on my own projects, but I was also working on 5 shows for Lauren at the same time.
Wow.
And 3 of them were being live recorded. And so I didn't take one day off for about 5.5 months. Like it was 7 days a week for 5.5 months. And I was like, of course, that's not sustainable long term, but it was a great way to really build the experience fast and also kind of figure out like what can one do? Because, you know, it's like if I was told, you know, on paper, this is what I would have to do, I'd be like, there's no way. And then you're in the thick of it and you kind of go, oh, that just happened. You know, it's like, so it's a really cool experience, honestly.
I think you made a splash, to tell you the truth. So I
So
cannot wait. I totally agree, Glenn.
It means a lot.
Mhm.
I can't wait to see. I want to see Nikhil Koparkar, composer in the Oscars. That's what I want to see.
Thanks so much. Yeah, it would be a dream to score an adaptation. You know, like full on. You know.
I think we have a good question just to end this part on, Tom.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can hint at for the music for next season?
And feel free to waffo us if you have.
Definitely
It
can.
might
You don't
be
have
a
to say
waffle
anything.
as much as I would want to say something. But I will just say that I do have a contribution in the next season. And perhaps I can kind of mention it more in the coming days. I just have to see when the episode it's featured in kind of airs, and then
Well,
I can give you after the show, and we'll make a post on the Dragonmount social. So watch for the Dragonmount socials tomorrow. I can give you the list of dates when the embargoes lift for the episode, so then you can go off that, because they sent us the dates when the embargoes lift for each episode.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so you'll know. So watch for the Dragonmount socials for that. We'll make sure we tag everything and you as well, and you can and we'll figure out how to get something out there for that.
Sweet. Yeah, that sounds wonderful.
So there you go, Thatcher. We helped you out with that. Thatcher has a particularly interesting. I think you might find this interesting. Avenue he took to become a viewer here. So I used to run the guest services area for JordanCon, which is like the guest speakers, like all of the people that were guests at the con, not the attendees, but like, Brandon and Harriet, Maria, and authors and things like that. So his college professor applied to be a guest at JordanCon.
Wow.
And his name is Sargon Donabed. Fantastic person. I love him to death. Like he and I became very fast friends, exchanged phone numbers, keep in touch all the time. I love him.
Yeah.
And he's the reason why I can say I put on my little resume when I apply to conventions now that I've been a speaker at Rhode Island College, because I have the exact name of the college in the thing, but my brain doesn't want to remember it now, because he let me speak to his class a few times on.
That is so cool.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings and Wheel of Time. But Thatcher is a student in his class who quickly fell in love with the Wheel of Time, because he actually uses the Wheel of Time as a teaching mechanic and has whole classes worth college credits built around the Wheel of Time and its effect on history and how it relates to stories told in real life and mythology.
Wait,
told
seriously?
in real life. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I wish I could take that class.
Exactly. I know, right? College credit on Wheel of Time. Like he got to Roger Williams College. That's what it was. Of course. I was hoping you would say it. Yeah, you definitely were lucky, Thatcher.
Yeah.
They did. I know they've done both the Wheel of Time and Lord of the Rings. I think there's probably more too, but he got to assign, like, okay, you have to read Wheel of Time books 1, 2, and 3, like as reading material for college. Yeah.
That is,
and then got the college to pay for him and a select few students from that class to go to JordanCon. I know, right?
Yeah.
This is brilliant.
Yeah.
Way to go.
And also a really cool thing that I think he did at JordanCon was he put together a panel, like he pitched a panel to the convention, but he wasn't as much a panelist on the panel as he kind of like started the discussion, and he acted as a moderator more.
Moderator, okay.
Yeah. And the students that he brought with him kind of led the panel, and that was so much fun to hang out and listen to. Like everyone had such really cool insights, and listening to new people discover the Wheel of Time, especially young, like intellectual college people, listening to them talk about. I never went to college, so I'm not like putting any emphasis on that, but listening to smart people talk about the Wheel of Time and discovering it for the first time is fun. And that's just another cool thing that you get to do at JordanCon, is listen to really interesting people talk about the Wheel of Time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would love to attend one day. I hope I can do that in the very near future for sure.
I mean, time is a difficult thing. Maybe, hopefully maybe Georgia can cross your path somewhere. Like you can put together a business meeting around it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they have a film scene down there, so yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, like I'm sure if you wanted it, if you wish it hard enough, the possibility of it coming to fruition is not small.
True. Yeah.
Okay. So before we finish up our stream tonight, I mean, we have been going on near 2 hours now, and I don't want to keep everyone up too late. One of the things that we started doing, and not that we really need to do it for this episode, because I mean, like, you've made a huge splash on this episode. Like, like I could talk about you and your stuff all day. Just listening to you talk about music is just fun.
Oh, thanks.
But one thing I like to do at the end of the episode is throw back to our guest and just focus on them. And when I was doing that, I was like, all right, we'll do a short interview. And then I was thinking, what are some interviews that I really liked? And I loved, as a kid growing up, Inside the Actor Studio with James Lipton. Oh, yeah. So great. So good. And if someone in chat or anyone rewatching this later, if you don't know what that is, just Google it and watch it. And really the two that I like, any interview that he's done, which is he interviews like, famous actors and voice actors and regular actors. And over the course of many years. So it's hundreds of people that he's interviewed. But the two that really stand out for me are Robin Williams did it a number of times, and Anthony Hopkins. Just go watch those. If you've never seen it before and you're like, oh, what is that? Go watch those videos. They're freaking insane. Yeah. Particularly Anthony Hopkins, like that man scares me, just the man himself.
That guy's a force of nature. He wrote like a symphony, I think.
I know. Yes. And he went to, actually, that's a beautiful story, as another aside, as we normally do here. And this should be a video that people go look up because it's so beautiful to watch. And it happened. So he wrote a symphony, like a full orchestral piece. And he was at a symphony, like watching a symphony with his wife or his partner. And they secretly played it. Like they were like, so now we like to play a piece that we didn't have on the bill, and it's composed by Sir Anthony Hopkins, and they played it, and he got to hear it played for the first time from a symphony, and it was like, and he didn't know it was coming. It was absolutely beautiful.
Gorgeous.
But back to James Lipton. He did a thing at the end of every single interview that he did. We would ask a set of questions. So we kind of copied some of the questions directly. I mean, you'll be able to see them if you watch it. But we also have our own little take on them too. So
awesome.
And one of them is one that we kind of, I don't know if this is even like a common meme anymore, but one of them was like, as a child, people always ask you this question, and no one asks me it anymore. So like the meme was, why doesn't anyone ask me this anymore? So we asked Rafe this question when we got to interview him live, and since we've asked many folks this question, and like I said, we like to hit hard here at Dragonmount in our interviews. Right off the bat. So. Actually, hold on. Before we get into it, I forgot. I have my super professional intro that I made, and that for specifically for you. So let's play that real quick.
It's awesome.
Welcome. Yeah, I was so excited to ask you these questions that I completely forgot. So, Nikhil, what is your favorite dinosaur?
I would say probably Velociraptor, because I saw Jurassic Park and I was like, those are some smart dinosaurs.
Okay. I love that. Their depiction later on with Chris Pratt was a lot of fun too.
Oh yeah.
All right. What is your favorite word?
Probably clandestine. I always found that word to be very very
It's a fun word.
Yeah.
That is very sneaky. That's good.
Yeah.
Good. It has the syllable. Each syllable is fun to say, I feel like.
Exactly.
Do you have a least favorite word?
Probably least favorite word would be something that sounds disgusting to hear, like phlegm, maybe.
That's a good one.
Phlegm is not a happy word for me.
No.
That's a good one. That's especially for you in the music industry. Any singers?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Trying to
excuse
sing,
me, you have to
phlegm
clear
is-
your throat.
Phlegm is the enemy. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite curse word or like a favorite fantasy curse word replacement? Like a favorite fantasy?
Oh, there's
curse
so many
word?
good ones. Yeah, I think maybe from Stormlight Archive, Storms. I did always like that one. It's a
That's
classic.
a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And not that you need to kind of stealthily insert fantasy words into not normal, but
No,
everyday
you do.
conversations with the normies. But
I
like
thought
that's
that's
an
what
easy one
everybody
to
does,
use. Yeah, I do. I mean, half of the things I say out in public when walking around are movie quotes because like they pop into my head when people say things.
Totally.
And I just wait to I always wait a beat to see if anyone chimes in. I'm like, where are my people? No one? Okay.
No.
But
Not my people.
Yeah, no, but that's great. Okay, so is there, and I guess this is poignant for you, is there an everyday sound that you love?
Everyday sound. Probably, well, I guess this wouldn't count, right? Like piano music? It's piano?
That
Would
counts.
that be an everyday sound?
Yeah. I mean,
I
it is
guess
for
in your
you.
world.
There is no right
Yeah,
and wrong answer here
exactly.
because this is for you. This is your brain.
That's true. Okay, piano definitely.
Oh man, I'm right there with you. I love piano music.
Yeah.
The opposite of that, is there an everyday sound that you don't like or that you hate?
Probably like nails on a chalkboard or something. That's always that I just can't handle it. Yeah.
Oh, I totally understand that. Okay, so the next one is for fictional characters. Obviously, it's not going to be. And we used to do this where it was like a generalized question, but we recently changed to focus on the show that we're watching, which is pretty simple now that it's Wheel of Time for you. I feel like. So, is there a Wheel of Time TV show character, specifically the TV show, that you think would make a good roommate?
Probably Lamb, maybe.
Okay.
Because I feel like he's dependable. He's stoic. He's
He'll never be making too much noise, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unless he's practicing for a funeral.
Oh my God.
It was a great
that's
scene.
right,
That was such a good scene from season 1. I loved. I know a lot of people feel like that episode was a filler episode, but I loved that episode.
That was, I think, episode 4 or something, if I remember.
Yeah,
correctly.
4 or 5 or something. I don't remember.
So is there a character from the Wheel of Time show that you think would make the very worst roommate?
Probably going back to our conversation from a few moments ago, Mogidi, and
Yeah.
freak me out. Like, I do not want that person anywhere near me.
You would never sleep. You would,
Sleep with one eye open.
Yeah.
Kind of
Never.
situation.
No way.
I would even take other Forsaken as roommates than Mogidi. Even that sounds better, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Especially after seeing her scene
God, I'd be afraid she'd
in
be
episode 1
smelling
of
you.
season 3.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, you wake up and she's
I'd
just like,
her sniffing you.
yeah. Hi. With the haircut right in your face.
No.
Sorry.
No.
All right. So if you have you ever had like even like young Nickel watching Saturday morning cartoons or anything, a crush on a fictional character, and you know, is there any fictional character currently that you think you have a crush on?
Man, I guess I'm not sure about current, but I know my first crush was probably the Pink Ranger from Power Rangers.
Nice.
When I first saw Power Rangers, that was my jam. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I as well shared that crush with you, mainly because you know her main squeeze was Tommy.
That's right. Yeah.
Easy kind of a replacement for myself.
The Green Ranger, the OG Green Ranger.
Oh yeah.
Is it me or you?
You go.
I don't know. Okay, so if you had we're so good at this. If you had the opportunity to align with like any vocation or job or group within fiction, like an Aes Sedai or a Jedi or something like that, what would you want to join? What would you want to be a part of?
Any fiction too. It could be a comic book, a movie, video
TV.
game, whatever you want.
That is a really good question, and it actually makes it harder. I would probably say the answer I would probably have for that is something that I've always fantasized about ever since I was 8 and I first saw Star Wars, which was the Jedi.
Yeah.
I just tried and true, you know. I always found the Jedi lore very interesting. I found like the idea of being equanimous. It was like a very kind of Eastern philosophy to it, actually.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. There's a heavy line of Buddhism through it.
Oh,
I feel like. Yeah. And then, is there any specific like group or job or people or to that a country that you wouldn't want to come from, or anything like that in any portrayal of fiction, fantasy, video games, movies, comic books, anything you want that you wouldn't want to be a part of?
So you would say, like, you mean like worst job or worst place?
Worst job, worst group. Like, I would never want to be a part of this group, or I would never want to do this job.
Probably, okay, this would not be Wheel of Time related, but it would be First Law related.
Okay.
So I don't know if you all have read the First Law series, but by Joe Abercrombie. But basically anything related to that, I would not want to be in that world at all. But there's a particular book of a crew that in this book, Best Served Cold, which is kind of like a Count of Monte Cristo revenge story, but it is really just grotesque, and it's just like the people are just like reprehensible characters, and yeah, that's a place I would not fare well in, I think.
Okay.
All right.
And that's the First Law by Joe Abercrombie.
Mm-hmm. Great to read, not great to live in.
Yeah, I got to check it out.
Yeah.
So this is probably the toughest question, maybe our hardest hitting question. Is there a specific portrayal of the afterlife in any realm of fiction that you wish was true?
Probably, so I grew up in a Hindu household, so the idea of reincarnation is something that was always, in the periphery of my vision anyways. And I've kind of always, gravitated towards that. So that was actually one of the reasons that drew me to Wheel of Time in the first place. So I remember before I even read a book, I remember seeing it on that IMDb, and I looked it up, and I saw that they had elements of reincarnation in it. They had elements of Eastern philosophy and everything. And that is what kind of propelled me to go, I'm going to try to read this. So it was actually directly as a result of being drawn to that aspect of the Wheel of Time series. So yeah, I would say the reincarnation aspect of it and the Wheel of Time.
Yeah, there's
would probably be my go-to.
That's good. That's good. I also really like the Wheel of Time version of things too, and the way Robert Jordan built his mythologies and his traditions and his folklore and the lore of the Wheel of Time is so great. I always say that he stealthily taught like entire generations of people like about world religions and traditions and things, exposing a lot of people that may not normally get exposed, especially like when you take the general high fantasy fan might not be exposed normally to a lot of those things, and that's great. So thank you. Those are some great answers.
Thank you. Definitely opened up my worldview, those seminal series.
And a fun fact that Maria shared with us once was that Robert Jordan, as a child, like as a game that he would do for himself, would often just invent cultures like that.
Really?
So,
wow.
That's
amazing.
Yeah. He was very smart.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a physicist.
Even from a young age, he's interested in that. Wow.
Yeah. He worked on nuclear submarines for the government and things like that. He's crazy smart guy. But you know who else is a crazy smart guy? Nikhil Koparkar, who has been our guest tonight. And thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been so much fun.
Oh, it's been a blast. I really appreciate you all having me on. It's like I've been a fan of the show and everything you guys are doing. And yeah, it's just a thrill to get to talk to you all and geek out about this stuff. I'm so grateful you had me on.
I'm just happy that you had the time and the fact that it lined up with the last episode was perfect.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Really.
So one thing that I did forget to do for everybody, because I like I say every week, I am bad at my job,
Stop it.
was make the graphic for our next week episode to share who our guest is going to be, because like I said,
We've had a lot going on, Tom. We've been filming
Just a little busy.
till 1 a.m. It's fine.
That's fair. That's fair. So, like I said, we are going to be rolling right into season 3 of the Wheel of Time, because it comes out next week. So, for those following along, we are going to basically watch. I mean, we're not basically. We're going to watch the prior week's episode, on Monday. So, on coming Monday, we're going to watch episode 3 only. Like, we're going to do our watch party, but for episode 3.
And we'll talk about episodes 1 and 2. We'll go over episodes 1 and 2. But.
Yes, we're not gonna sit for a 4-hour stream on Monday night at 9:00. No one wants to do that.
I mean,
you guys,
I want
to do that, but you all got to work.
I don't. It's spring break, so if they want to do it, let's do it.
Right, well, maybe we will stay up a little late. We'll see. We'll see. But our guests for that day are going to be, as per usual, which has become. It started as an accidental tradition now, but it is a permanent tradition here. Our guest for our first show has always been and will always be Reverse BLT. Yes. He's another content creator. I will post a link to his stuff in chat. He does reactions to television shows, and he's a ton of fun. I saw his stuff and I enjoyed it, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to see if that guy wants
I would like to walk back the 3 episodes. I kind of forgot. Those 2 are the most tangenty people I have ever met in my entire life when you put Reverse BLT and Tom together. So 1 episode.
And then, but in addition to Reverse BLT, we will be hanging out with the girls of the North Harbor podcast.
Yay!
That is Adalorna and Rebecca Sadai. So we're going to be hanging out with them. My favorite tagline that they have for the North Harbor podcast is, if you need directions to North Harbor, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
I love all of you awesome nerds. Please make sure to go out and check out Nikhil's stuff. Go give him a follow on all the social medias. The link to his website is in the description of this video. And, leave a comment and say, what's up, man? I remember you from the Wheel of Time show when you were rejected.
It'd be lovely to chat with you all.
Yay. I love all you awesome nerds, and I will see you guys next week. So say goodnight, Crystal.
Good night, Crystal.